come on, burning like the sun. You can feel the heat. When the pressures rise, building up inside, trying to break it down, but you come back stronger, ready to fight. Can't wait any longer. It's our time. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. Stronger than that.
Ethan Burrell from big spin by the 50-60s. It won't be enough. Chris Rexen on the back of Johnny Johns, who covered the box. Johnny is going to victor lane at Daytona, scores the win. The Homeplace Beer Company DTD by
It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. Stronger than that.
You're live.
Back in 1957, NASCAR founder Bill France Sr. wanted to build a racetrack like no other that would permit for higher speeds for the cars and better views for the fans. Just 2 years later, the Daytona International Speedway was completed, and for the past 63 years has played host to the Great American Race. On November 20th, 2019, the Elite Racing Leagues began a biannual tradition of running the full-distance race in its JoinAPS.com Cup Series. And now in the second half of 2022, another season kicks off with the familiar High Banks. Welcome, everybody, to the 7th running of the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500. My name is Rish of Kosla, joined tonight in the booth by Gerald Campbell and Dave Huckleberry. We have one hell of a season coming up for you guys here on the Elite Racing Network, but it all kicks off here tonight at Daytona. We have 5 former winners that will take the green flag tonight in hopes of becoming the first multiple race winner at the event, but 38 other drivers are hoping to enter their names into the Elite Racing history books. Gerald, I'm going to start with you as someone who's a 2-time Cup Series champion here in the Elite Racing Leagues. Just talk us through briefly of just some of the challenges these drivers are going to be facing here tonight.
Absolutely. This is Daytona. It's where you all come to live a dream and try to come out a champion. When it's all said and done, there's going to be 43 competitors. One of them will have a night to remember, one to think about for the rest of the season. It really is make it or break it at the beginning of the season. It's like no other sport, and I can't wait to be a part of it with you, Rish.
Absolutely. And Dave joining us now up in the booth for this Join APS Cup Series in 2022B. What are you expecting to see from the racing here tonight? What are you hoping to see different from what we saw last year?
Well, I've been hearing that a lot of drivers want to get up in front and have track position, so I think a lot of the faster guys that are in the back are going to be really urgently moving to the front. So it'll be interesting to see how they pace themselves. It's a long race, but they don't sound like they're talking a long race, so it should be exciting.
All right, we'll keep an eye out on all of those storylines and talk about more as we get rolling. But first, we're going to head down trackside for our pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you at this time to please rise, remove your hats, and face the American flag, while Do Good's recording artist, Dustin Dragon Doer, sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the hearts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now we'll head back to pit road for those most famous words in all of racing.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is John from Homeplace Brewing Company. Just wanted to reach out and say thank you guys so much for your partnership over the past few years and all the support. We're really excited about the season you guys are about to have. And just one last thing.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
All right, well, engines fire, and we're now back and ready to go racing. It felt like such a short off-season, largely because it was, I think, 5 weeks before we got to Daytona 500 qualifying, and now we see this field of 43 gridded up and getting ready to roll here. I mean, so much to look forward to tonight. So many storylines to follow, new drivers, new teams, of course, returning champions we talked about at the top of the show. There's going to be so many things to follow, and we're going to start by running you guys through the starting grid for tonight's Daytona 500.
Here is your starting lineup as they have qualified for the 2022B Elite Daytona 500. On the pole for the third time in the event is Josh Adams with a time of 49.999 seconds. Joining him on the front row is one of the winningest drivers in Elite Cup Series history, Tyler Fody. The second row features our Elite 125 duel winners. Daniel Martinez was victorious in the first duel, while Cole Snyder shocked them all by winning the second duel as an open driver to secure his spot in the field. It's a pair of Pro Edge Toyotas on row 3. 2021A Daytona 500 winner Matthew Weeks starts 5th, while Joshua Clark rolls off 6th in car 28. Last season's Talladega winner Trevor Elam will be looking for another Super Speedway win tonight. He's joined on the 4th row by Michael Goodman, who has finished in the top 12 in 4 of the 6 prior Daytona 500s. Kwame Scott will start his first Elite Cup Series season from 9th place in the Daytona 500. Who is with him on row 5? Just two-time and defending series champion Tate Lytle in the days gone by Camry. Independent competitor Rusty Capel rolls off 11th. Wyatt Nadel is lined up 12th to his outside in car 84. Sky Motorsports is always a team to watch at the Super Speedways. Joey Chapman starts 13th as the highest qualifier of the 4-car team. To his outside is Scott Crump in car number 90 with 7 career poles and just 41 Elite Cup starts. Starting 15th is Jesse Rasmus in car 70. In 16th is the defending Daytona 500 champion, Nick Massey. Alec Balvins rolls off 17th in the Racing Point Limu Emu Chevrolet. Starting 18th is 2003 Daytona 500 pole winner, Jeff Green. Chad Thornquist, last season's Motegi winner, starts on the inside of row 9. Covered Bridge Racing's Michael Hosick rounds out the top 20 in the starting lineup. Former Elite Truck Series champion Bronson Stafford starts 21st, with Dusty Dragon Doer to his outside on row 11. The winner of the first Elite Daytona 500, Chad Frankenfield, starts 23rd. Canadian competitor Robert Hill Jr. rolls off 24th in the second 21 Savage Autosport entry. Another former 500 pole winner, Josh Robbins, starts 25th. On the outside of row 13 is Brent Jones in car 89. Kyle Walgren lines up on the inside of row 14 with March of Dimes riding along, while Hunter Smith is to his outside representing Warriors for Peace. Last season's Rookie of the Year, Shane Terrian, will look for his third Elite Cup win tonight. Ryan Schultz starts 30th, now driving car number 4 for Little Eagle Racing. Josh Hodges lines up 31st in car number 7. He's joined on row 16 by Mark Rebelos. 2 Crown Jewel winners are on row 16. 2028 Daytona 500 winner Andrew Rucker starts 33rd, while 2020 World 600 winner David Tooker is 34th. Trey Holmes starts 35th in the recognizable Mountain Dew number 88. 2021 Daytona 500 winner Johnny Thomas starts 36th. Another Daytona 500 newcomer, Alex Gray, lines up 37th. Harrison Talon starts 38th, rounding out the Fueled Up Racing stable. Scott Haney starts 39th in the Homeplace Beer Company Chevrolet, while former ARCA racer Richard Hines starts 40th. Rounding out the field are charter drivers who were unable to attend last week's qualifying festivities. Jared Rexing starts in the 41st spot, with Cody Harrington lining up in 42nd. Starting shotgun on the field in car number 08, it's Mark Keeler.
Well, Rish, we've got new paint jobs, new hopes, new dreams, same aspirations though. Rish, what is it going to take for these drivers after 200 laps tonight to be able to accomplish one of the most finest things that you can do in sim racing and win it here at Daytona?
I mean, concentration is going to be the number one thing. We've spent some time in kind of the build up to the Daytona 500 here in the duels, talking about just the lack of visibility. And I think we talk about this every season. When you're in the pack, even if you're the second or third car in line, you really can't see that much further ahead of you. You really can't see 2 cars in front of you. So you just need to be smart. You need to be on your toes, especially in the early stages of the race. Kind of avoid those early cautions that may pop up. Stay out of trouble and just be there in the last 50 laps. That's kind of always been the mantra of Daytona, is just be there at the end and you've got a shot.
Absolutely. I believe the same. One thing that we've noted here is that we believe there's absolutely no rookies. These are all veterans. These are all guys that know each other in and outs. They know who to trust. They know who to stay away from. So when it comes down to tonight, it's going to be playing your cards right, knowing who's around you, and just finding yourself a way to the front at the end of this race. But I believe, David, before we go green, there are a few substitutions that are entered into this. You got that with us, Dave?
Yeah, we got a couple of substitutions tonight. Mark Rebelos was unable to be here, so we have Chris Wright, who will be filling in for him. See there on the screen in the, looks like the 57 car. And Richard Hines was not here. Garrison Hogan will be taking his spot in the 22, and they will be starting at the back of the pack.
Well, I believe the pace car lights are off. Is this time that they're going to be going green flag, Rish?
I believe so. And Dave, you might even be able to confirm that. But with the pace car lights off, that to me implies that, yeah, we're about to get underway here. 2022 B is about to kick off. And again, one hell of a way. Josh Adams, Tyler Fody going to lead this field to the green flag coming off of 4.
Well, this is the part of the season where all the paint schemes are brand new. No one's put a ding in them yet, but we're about to change that as the pace car is going to be coming off. Where the racing gets good and the good gets racing, we're going to go live and here where the dreams are real and the world center of racing. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Great start by that inside line. Your pole sitter, Josh Adams, 3-time pole sitter now, heading into this 7th Daytona 500, an unreal record on 1-lap pace, but he wants to get it done over 200 laps, and it starts here just getting a good push from behind, staying strong and leading his line, and he's doing a great job hooking up early with Michael Daniel Martinez on that bottom lane, but the top coming on strong here on the back straightaway.
Yeah, they're jostling for position up here. Looks like the outside lane is starting to get an advantage. They may even clear the first couple vehicles. We'll see if they can drop down before they get out of turn 4 here.
Yeah, couple of guys already dropping down towards the back of the pack. That's strategic. Again, you're trying to just stay out of trouble a little bit early on in the race, and you can do so just by staying away from the rest of that pack there. So first lap led by Joshua Adams. Tyler Fody just slightly behind him there across the line, but we've got two-lane racing so far right now, and these guys all hooked up and relatively organized up top. A little bit of separation, though, starting to form on the bottom.
Yeah, with 200 laps, I would have to believe in these drivers' mind. It's just trying to make sure that they get into a rhythm. The nerves are high when you start these races, especially in a race like this one where it's means so much to win. So allowing yourself to finally find a little comfortable groove is meaning so much to these drivers. So right now we're going to see a little bit of spacing between them, but as we get going along closer to these, I believe there's stage ends here, they're going to start tightening up, and once they get comfortable, we'll start seeing these pushing get a little bit more intense as they go along.
So Adams leads another lap, and Martinez now moves up towards that top lane. Gonna see some shuffling going on. Matthew Weeks now, the second car on the bottom, and again, still side by side. And we saw this in the duels where guys are able to run relatively well side by side for the majority of the run. Once we get into maybe that more tire saving or fuel saving, especially stints, that's where we might start to see more single file type things where guys are just trying to run. And there will certainly be portions of this race where that happens. But also expect guys to be aggressive. I think they want to lead laps here. They want to be up front. That's generally always been the consensus from the stuff that I hear, at least in driver chats and all that. These guys want to lead laps here. They want to be a talking point all race long. They don't just want to show up at the end.
Well, Rish, I know you showed up for this one, but this is actually the third race I've broadcasted for so far at Daytona, but it's the same cast of characters. Both David and I can contest to this. It's the same group of guys that seem to have the talent at these super speedways, or maybe it's just that they just don't care if they do get caught up in anything, so they're full on board and full gas as they go along. One of those is Tyler Fody up there, as well as Adams, Weeks. A lot of these guys in a couple of the other lower class divisions, maybe if you use those as a stepping stone to practice to all lead up and build up to Daytona here. And definitely seeing their fruits blossom as they are all running back up front here once again.
For sure, and obviously the Cup car, especially this next-gen car, is a bit of a different beast to the truck and the Xfinity car. But again, all the practice you can get, the better. And yeah, Dave, I mean, watching those races in the Truck Series, in the Xfinity Series, I mean, what did you notice, and who are the people to really watch out for in this Cup grid that you think those skills will transfer over tonight?
Well, I think Matthew Weeks, who we're riding on board with right now, is one. Tate Lytle transfers a lot.
Dave's working on trying to get us an onboard shot of here of Matthew Weeks.
Yep.
I knew a couple of people wanted to see what we were talking about, how difficult the visibility was inside these vehicles. Well, you can see it right here. Once you're tucked up right behind of a driver, that spoiler in front definitely blocks everything that is seen through that front windshield of the guy in front of you. Makes it that much harder, and it just allows you, or it just makes it to where you have to trust the guy in front of you, that he knows what he's doing. So when you get to these super speedways, it's more of trust than anything when you're dealing with people around you.
It really is, and how much does that matter, doing those extra races and building that trust, right? Not just in Cup Series racing and in the duels, but then going out and racing alongside these exact same drivers like you mentioned there, Gerald, side by side in different categories. You start to figure out, as you do more and more races, who are the guys that you can rely on. And most of these guys in this field are veterans of the Elite Cup Series. They've been racing here for a number of seasons. They know each other very well at this point, and how they race each other, and certainly what they think of each other off the racetrack. So this is all playing into your mind as a driver as you're going around here, and it's all going into how you're planning how you're planning out those final few laps of the race, who you want to hook up with at the right times to make the moves when they're most necessary.
Absolutely. You want to have those friends, because you may end up at the end of the race with no teammates left. They may have all been involved in something. David can contest. I believe David's back with us. He can contest with all the races we've seen so far at Daytona. When it comes down to the end, you work with just about anybody, don't you, David?
Yeah, those teammate lines get really blurry. It's whoever's been working good the whole time, and you find the friend that's near you and will take you to the front.
Racing lap 8 here then at Daytona, and this bottom lane has started to pull away just a little bit. They have 3 cars in front of the top line, still led by Tyler Fode there, but now Joshua Adams, Matthew Weeks, and Trevor Elam all with a reasonable advantage over that top line, and now Michael Daniel Martinez also just trying to catch up to those top 3, but we're starting to see just that kind of, again, there's power in numbers here at Daytona at any plate track. And right now the numbers are starting to favor this bottom line more and more as drivers start to kind of dive down. They're seeing holes appear in the bottom, kind of filling in those and then basically creating an even longer line here. And you can see right there in the shot, there's just notably more drivers on the bottom, and we might see more drivers migrate there over the coming laps.
Well, one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on, Rich, is I am starting to see a third lane starting to form. Fode has been taking the very, very high lane. What that has done is it's opened up the middle. Chad Frankenfield and a group of others behind him have started taking advantage of these drivers, starting to go all the way up to the high side. I'm not sure if Fode thinks that he can get a better run up there, but what it is causing is it's causing people to have to second guess if that middle lane is where they're wanting to go. All we know is now it's starting to get intense in the mid-pack, and we'll watch it start to build forward as they get closer to the field.
I did see someone on Twitter put up odds for this race, and I would have loved to see what the odds were to say that Chad Frankenfield was the first to try to take the field 3 wide, because I think those would have been pretty favorable odds. Chad, always aggressive at any racetrack he goes to, always fast at any racetrack he goes to. The biggest thing is pulling together the result as well. But there's that 15 car tucked in line right now, but do not be shocked if he tries to form that third lane, tries to get out, get a couple of cars behind him to go with him, because generally when that 15 car makes a move, a lot of guys will try to go with him, as we're now 3 wide shortly as Harrison Talon getting lapped there in the 23 car. Slow start for that 23, and going to be a long night if he can't get back on the lead lap here.
Well, luckily for him, it's going to be a little bit before the next guy goes a lap down. The next car that will go a lap down is only 9 seconds behind this pack, so still within reason that he can easily get a lucky dog, but he's got to hope for a caution to allow that. He's definitely going to be having to play devil's advocate of just trying to stay out of the way, but stay in this pack as well. He's going to have to, if he sees a wreck, he'll be the first to know it, because he's going to be right in the back of this humongous pack that's leading around this racetrack right now.
Yeah, staying with the pack as well is going to be so critical for Talon, just to make sure that he doesn't lose the draft. As we watch Garrison Hogan, one of our fill-ins for tonight here, filling in for Richard Hines, one of our final 4 in the Xfinity season last year, didn't end up, I don't believe he ended up walking away with the championship, as I think Tate Lytle went and swept just about everything, or the 56 car, swept everything last season. But Hogan, extremely talented driver, and starting to work his way forward already, using that kind of middle lane between, as cars are kind of right now totally disjointed as we get towards the back of this pack.
Yeah, he's sitting there. Garrison's sitting there with he's our big mover. He's up 21 spots and has the fastest lap in the race so far.
Well, one thing we saw in that one shot there, the 9 got into the wall a little bit. We're starting to see these cars starting to wiggle around quite a bit, maybe affected by the air, maybe more than the trucks in the Xfinity, as you just start seeing them down the straightaway, zigzagging back and forth. I don't believe that's due to them doing that on purpose. It just might be how the cars are handling right now with the air being distributed over their cars.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things we heard from the duels was tire wear was an actual factor here at Daytona, and guys were having to take tires, or those who hadn't were starting to struggle as the run went on, and that's going to be another thing to keep an eye on here for these guys, is the handling of the car is going to go, as we do have our first caution of the night.
Yeah, we'll give it back over to David here, and once he locates what the caution was due, but that's early on caution with a lot of drivers seemingly taking it fairly easy early on. We'll have to see if we can locate where
I'm not
that
seeing,
might have been at.
Didn't tag it to a person. Can't really see. I can't see anybody that dropped drastically, and it didn't tag it to a person. So, sorry on that one.
I haven't seen anyone
There's nobody in the
drop
pits.
off. No one in the pits. I don't see any cars with damage, so there might have been an elusive caution there that doesn't really help anybody but Harrison Talon, who will get the lucky dog here. So he is going to be truly fortunate that there was no wreck and he gets the lucky dog, because if there was going to be a wreck, he was going to have to not only drive through it, but hope not to be at least tagged at some point so he would still get it. But with this caution that just got displayed, that's going to allow us to have back to 42 cars on the lead lap here.
So shout out to Seth Egbert on Twitter. We can maybe take a look. It looks like Michael Hossack and Ryan Scholz came together, with Ryan Scholz spinning and bringing out that caution. So
okay,
maybe we can find that there. So Seth Egbert more on top of it than we are there. Oh, there you see it.
The very back of the pack there.
Ooh, kind of a weird incident there.
Yeah, a little bit of a net code, a little bit of contact. I think the contact would have probably sent the 24 into the wall, but that white car, the net code, definitely sent him around a little bit more than if it wasn't for it.
Yeah, 4 car you see there. Yeah, 24 ends up probably with a little bit of damage to the side of that car, but the 14, big damage to that. Looks like everybody else able to avoid him, which is why we didn't really see any kind of crash signaling on timing and scoring. But yeah, there you go. There's the incident. So once again, shout out to Seth Egbert there on Twitter, and we might be utilizing him more tonight if he continues to tweet
more
out
eyes is always better.
Looks like guys on pit road here as well, and split strategy. Some guys staying out on the racetrack. We have Josh Robin, Andrew Rucker, I think both out on the racetrack. The rest of the field coming down. Most guys coming in for 2 tires, a few, and basically 50-50 split actually between 2 tires and 4 tires here. So already seeing some strategy splits on lap 15. Some complaints about shared pit stalls as well for drivers, which I don't believe should have been an issue here, but seems to have been something that was brought up in the driver chat.
A little bit of complaining that they changed and didn't do the drive-through, so they didn't necessarily know where their pit stall was.
Ah. So one of those pre-race activities, no pass through pit road to see where your pit stall is and all that for these drivers. So especially on these caution stops, it's always tricky to find stuff. And you see there, Chris Wright, Andrew Rucker. Rucker actually misses his pit box a little bit there. Won't harm them too much, but they're both going to drop there. Both of them, I think, likely missed their pit box. We said Rucker stayed out, and it might have been actually he came down pit road, but just missed his box.
Well, luckily for these drivers, it is Daytona, and you can easily where they're gonna be on a green flag pit stop here and lose the pack, so they still have a chance to make it back up. So live and learn. It's only lap 16 of 200. I don't even think we're 1/10 of the way through yet, Rish.
Yeah, crazy to think there. As we're watching there, Chris Wright heading back onto the racetrack. So Josh Robin does actually end up staying out on the racetrack. No plans, I guess, for that 8 car to come down pit road. And so he's just going to stay up front there. He's going to try to lead this field back to green. And I mean, it's not a crazy strategy. Again, very, very little of this race realistically has actually been completed. And it's a play for track position. And he may be looking at, okay, cautions, maybe breed cautions here. Things can get a little bit hectic if I'm up in front ahead of any incidents. Maybe that's kind of a game plan instead of being mired a little bit in the pack.
Oh, looks like is the pace lights on the car off? Yep, they're all lined up. So we'll be going back green flag here. There's still 40 cars on the lead lap with the addition of Harrison Talon. So still plenty of cars to have to drive through here and try to survive.
Well, back to green flag racing then. Josh Robin with a bit of a jump there. We do have the Geico restart zone has been added in the offseason. I don't really know if that's something that we're really applying here in the elite racing leagues, but a huge gap now forming on the bottom lane, and that's only going to hurt these top drivers or the drivers up front on the bottom, unless you get moves like that where you now have the 40 and the 33 or the 38, excuse me, dropping down to the bottom to try and support here. And that does kind of keep them just in front right now. But now you've got Josh Adams on the outside, again hooked up with Daniel Martinez, and they're moving to the front pretty quickly. And there's that 15 car again. Chad Frankenfield always trying to find that way forward. Tate Lytle up there as well, so a little bit of shuffling up front.
Yeah, so far we haven't really seen teams play into a factor yet, as it is still pretty scrambled out there. We'll start seeing drivers trying to find their partners here as they zigzag and try to find a lane that helps them get up towards the front. But you said the 38's starting to work his way up there. That's Jeff Green. He's in that white and red car right in the side pocket. There we go. Right there. That's Jeff Green. That's the real-life Xfinity champion back in, I believe, 2000. Dominated that season. Has come for another season here for Elite. And when it comes to super speedways, you always have to keep an eye on Jeff Green, because he always tends to find himself up there, and he always has the aggressive moves when it needs to be time to be shown.
Yeah, Jeff Green showing as a do-good motorsports driver, and he does race for that team, but his typical buddy here when we come to the super speedways is going to be that 40 car of Tyler Fode. So a car between them right now, but when those two hook up, they move forward pretty quickly, and they're able to make things work. So right now, Jeff Green, Scott Crump between the 40 and the 38, but the 8 car gets caught on the outside, and nobody goes with him, and he's going to drop a number of positions, and this just shows you the power of the draft here at Daytona. We can quantify it in numbers, but here you really see it. It's about 3 seconds a lap you lose if you're not racing with the draft versus if you have one. And we're single file back up front, and a bad bump from Tyler Fode to Matthew Weeks. And Weeks now looks like he's going to be held out to dry as we're 3 wide off of turn number 4 on lap 19.
Yeah, all through 3 and 4 Weeks was trying to catch it, and he did a fantastic job. I can't explain. Oh, he is still trying to catch it down the front straightaway. He's going to hit the pit lane cone coming out. He may get a black flag from that, but I can't tell you how difficult it is to save these cars. It's much harder than the Xfinity and the trucks, because it's so easy to end up turning the car into the opposite direction that you turn from. It has a hair trigger on those steering wheels. So Weeks did a fantastic job there, being able to keep it underneath them. But yes, as you stated, a little bad bump by Fode has definitely spaced out the field as they come back around turn 4.
Looks like we had a little bit of an incident on the last lap in the backstretch. Didn't generate a yellow, but we'll go take a look at what happened with Chris Wright and Cody Harrington.
A little bit more net code there. That absolutely took out a few drivers there.
And that did not generate a yellow.
Well, we've seen that in multiple occasions so far this week. Has been a little bit of a controversy. If you are able to view the elite chat, it's very difficult to get cautions. It has to be on track, not below the yellow line. As you see, Chad Frankenfield rocket his way past Fode. Fode's going to lose a couple positions. Now Scott Crump is going to get underneath Chad and put him out to dry. So right now, no favors are being shown for anyone out there. It's a battle for the lead this early on, and we are enjoying all of it.
This fantastic shuffle for position there, and I was going to say the 90 of Scott Crump and the 15 of Chad Frankenfield really just picking up where they left off last season. And despite being teammates there for that White Lightning Motorsports, they will race each other just as hard as they race anybody else in this pack. And there you saw with Scott Crump, no favors for the teammate, wanted that lead, and he took it. Chad Frankenfield now caught up to the front of the outside lane, but has some work to do to catch that bottom line.
Well, Rish, just kind of behind-the-scenes situation, Crump was not happy with Chad Frankenfield over Saturday night's race. Felt like he might have been taken out by Chad Frankenfield. So I don't believe Scott Crump is going to have any types of friendship in mind with Chad Frankenfield. To get him out of line and get him away from him is probably Scott Crump's main goal right now. Just so happened that it also put him out front.
We're showing another incident with Rusty Capel this time. He takes a slide through the backstretch.
A little bit of a Tokyo drift there.
And for those who aren't familiar with the iRacing yellow flag rules, is it basically goes if the car that's stopped or has spun is off the racing line, iRacing will basically not throw the caution flag. So as you see there, he's below that yellow line here at Daytona. iRacing views that as he's off the racing surface. He's spinning around there. That's tough, basically, for Rusty Capel there, and it really is, because that's going to take him out of the draft. And you're losing a ton of time per lap. It really puts you in a tricky situation as a driver. But that's just one of those things these guys have to deal with, and one of the unique features of racing here on the service.
Well, it's finally done. The field has been split in two. It looks like the lead lap pack, the main pack, is from 27th on up, but we have another couple groups of packs of 5 cars further on back, one about 6 seconds behind and one about 10 seconds behind. Those drivers are hoping and praying for another caution, because very quickly this 26 car pack will very easily catch back up and lap them if there is not another caution before then.
Yeah, for sure. We have 27 cars, I believe, in this lead pack right now. Then you have, like you mentioned, that kind of split off to a 3-car group of Bronson Stafford, Shane Terrian, and Garrison Hogan. And then you have another group of Andrew Rucker, Nick Massey, our defending Daytona 500 champ. Haven't mentioned him at all tonight, and Robert Hill Jr. as well. So little breakaways kind of behind, but still this big 27-car pack still leading the way. And that's kind of, or excuse me, that can't be right, or that is right. Excuse me, we're watching the wrong group there. We didn't see the rest of the pack in the shot there, but they are still all very close together here on the racetrack.
One driver you mentioned there, Andrew Rucker, we had made a comment, or at least I did, Rich. Maybe it was too coy of me to believe he could get back up to the lead pack and it wouldn't be an issue. Him having to restart all the way in the back because he missed his stall has now put him 10 seconds behind the lead and put him with this small pack that is very quickly losing out time, almost a half a second to a second slower than the main pack, which means in about 25 laps to 30 laps, these drivers will find themselves one lap down.
Yeah, and it's not like he's in bad company. I mean, you have two former Daytona 500 winners here in Rucker and Massey, nose to tail right there, and Massey pushing as hard as he possibly can. But yeah, right now there's just nothing you can do in this situation for drivers. It's just not enough to really deal with the might of that large pack. And I think that is a change we've seen here with this new car, with this new package, where you can't quite do the same level of tandem drafting that you were able to do before, where 2 cars could, for a certain period of time, keep up with a big pack. Right now, if you drop out of a draft, you are done. There's really very little hope for you. You've got to have the numbers behind you. Again, you can make little runs here and there, but you can't sustain that speed for long.
Well, I tell you, really hard pushing is being shown right now with the 90 and 15. They were really hard pushing, trying to. Oh, Chad Frankenfield turned Scott Crumper right in front of the field. We have about 3, 4, 5 cars involved here, and Weeks went flying. Still wrecking going on, even further back.
Garrison Hogan there involved in that as well. Can't even see all the car numbers there. And honestly, I think at that point, you're probably feeling pretty happy if you're Andrew Rucker or Nick Massey, because you just avoided that whole thing. Yeah, starts off with a bad bump from the 15 there on the 90, and we talked about no love lost between teammates, but this is, we'll see if we can maybe grab a little bit of a better angle there, because it happens just as the camera peeks behind the banking. But yeah, I mean, Frankenfield just hooked up at absolutely the wrong place on the 90 car. We'll see kind of what the call is there, but again, we know aggression for sure is going to get you to the front, but this much I think is a bit too much here early on in this race.
Yeah, he was too far low on that back bumper, too far left. That will turn a driver around immediately. He was pushing so hard because there was not as much help on the high side, and they were working so desperately to get back up front. But unfortunately, that's going to end a lot of drivers' night. One of those that is almost a given that it's ended is that flying car of the number 11. That car went flying once it hit the wall. and you just see there that it just continues on with the carnage from about 10th on back. Well, I don't know if that's commentator's curse, Rish, but I pointed out they were pushing really hard. I was not meaning that they were pushing that hard. That was a little too much.
The 2 times we've had commentators curse so far this season, yes, it is the first race of the year, and we already have 2 commentators curses. Don't worry about it, folks. We have had a car literally launch to the moon there, so something there, I guess. We're adding a little bit of spice to the commentators curse here in 2022B.
Well, that will definitely allow some of those drivers that were further back, as we stated, with it looked like Nick Massey and Andrew Rucker. That's going to allow them to get back up. So maybe they are thankful that they were so far back. Maybe they knew when they saw Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield from all the tribulations they've had this beginning of this season. I'm not sure how much longer the 90's going to stick around if he keeps getting turned by his teammates at Daytona, but definitely don't want to be in that group chat when that happened there.
I was going to say, either you don't want to be, or you might want to be in there with some popcorn, because that'll certainly be something. But, race, I think we saw this and talked about it a little bit in the duels, and it might be the same in trucks as well, but it seems like race control being very lax on a lot of incidents. Again, I look at that from my perspective and say that as a 15-car fault, but I think there's a little bit of ambiguity in the rules as fault is not necessarily deeming, kind of earns a tally, I suppose. Because I'm not too sure what 50-50 split was on that. My typical interpretation of a racing incident is a 50-50 deal, but you might be a little bit more familiar with that, Gerald, or even Dave there on kind of how we're interpreting things up in race control.
Well, I don't know about Dave, but we've seen that. I will say I'll be the first one to throw Chad Frankenfield to the wolves if I can. But, no, in that situation there, that was definitely a no fault, because they've thrown that multiple times so far this week with the Daytona. Bad bumps and everything. They understand that they happen. So it's not like a situation someone got off the bottom of the groove and it came up and sideswiped somebody. But just definitely something that these drivers need to put into their notebook. Don't push on the very left-hand side of the rear bumper in the middle of the turns, which most drivers would have probably already had that in their notebooks. But that definitely reassures it at that point.
It did make for some very colorful conversations in the driver chat, though. Spice that up.
Oh, I had it muted. I should have had that on after that incident, but
I'm trying not to sound like Jeff Burton on Ross Chastain kind of situation, but it's definitely a bad bump for sure. That definitely they know better, even with these bumpers that line up a little bit better than they in the previous cars, but. We still got a long ways to go. We still got a lot of cars that only took out about 5 of them, so we still got plenty of action on the track.
That's for sure. I was actually going to ask you about that. You obviously did race in the duels, and we even spoke to you after your duel. How is that, kind of the bumping package that we have now on these cars, the hooking up? Because it seems like each car as well behaves a little bit differently in terms of how it hooks up to another car.
I'm just watching these cars, and they are very difficult to handle. It looks like they just like I said, some of them looks like almost like they lose the nose as we get going back green here. Looks like a little bit of planned drafting here, as the one in the 53 or 56 car, both of those teammates deciding to take the high line and allowing themselves to clear down to the bottom. So a little team discussion and team radio going on there to allow them to retake the lead and have a 1-2 for Pro Edge out front.
We'll clarify the 56 and 1, not exactly on the same team, but a technical alliance there. It's kind of it's a large technical alliance, I suppose, between 21 Savage, Fueled Up, and Pro Edge Racing. I think all of them have, especially Fueled Up and 21 Savage, I know, are very closely related, and Fueled Up as well as Pro Edge Racing, I think all very close relation. So I'm sure there was communication there between those two, but officially not the same team.
I forgot that was for their Xfinity, the one drive,
yes.
the 56. Both of those are champions from last season. The one, both of them drove the 56, just Josh Adams in Xfinity and Tate Lytle in Cup. But yes, they're teammates in the Xfinity. I forget these drivers will sometimes move around just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But still a good relationship there between Adams and Lytle. And it does make me a little nervous to see Tate Lytle this high up in a plate race. Knowing his history at Daytona, I'd actually love to see what his average finish or what his highest finish even is at Daytona, because I can't imagine it's very good. And that's no slight against Tate Lytle. It's more so just I don't know of many drivers who have worse luck at this racetrack than that 56 car.
Well, we got new contenders up on that high side there. We've got Jared Rexen coming in that Nesquik yellow car. Easy to see on track. He always likes to represent his chocolate milk as he is on his way up to the front, trying to see if maybe he can put his name up there.
Yeah, for those historical fans, the Nesquik 10 car is not Jeff Green. So a little bit of, tribute from Jared Rexing. But yeah, Rexing, Joey Chapman as well, up on that top side, looking strong. Mark Keeler as well has now kind of run into the third position on the top lane. So if those guys come on strong and they kind of build up pace and numbers and momentum, big gains for a lot of these drivers. David Tooker, you see there as well. Some drivers that we just haven't mentioned yet today, just purely because they haven't quite yet shuffled towards the front. But I guarantee most of these guys will all see some time in the top 10 tonight. Just is the nature of racing here at Daytona. Heck, you see there Harrison Talon up into 18th position now, well inside the pack. When we were talking about him maybe 20 laps ago as running a lap down.
Well, right now we've got 33 cars on the lead lap, and a few of them a lap down, a few of them are definitely off pace. So roughly around 30 cars still within pace, still on track as we start seeing a third lane trying to form there in the mid-pack.
Josh Adams very comfortable up front. Again, we know that one car super fast and clean air, and obviously has shown to be pretty strong as well, I think, in the pack. But for the most part, he's been trying to just keep that car up front, not really too concerned about fuel saving or much of that at all, as he just wants to be up front and maybe just kind of taking lessons from past years and past seasons here at the Daytona 500, but with a driver who always has this much pace at Daytona, to not have a 500 yet, I mean, that certainly eats at him. And something that he's just trying to change the approach and running up front for maybe going to try to do the whole race here if he can.
Yeah, there's a few drivers that no matter what the characteristic of the car, characteristic of the race, they always are up front, and that's especially at these plate tracks there. Fody and Josh Adams are two of them in mind when I think of super speedway prowess. And go figure, they both were on the front row for the start of the race. So they definitely know how to get around there, not only by themselves, but how draft package work as well, as they will continue, if they have a car underneath them, to find themselves out front.
A lot of it ends up just coming down to just being smart. I mean, obviously, superb pace and understanding the best lines around Daytona, but just being smart with your race car, being smart with your racecraft, not making kind of those crazy moves, being predictable, I think is such an important thing that these guys do. But back on board here with Tyler Fody, and the fact that you can't even see, you can barely see the shadow of the one car who's just a few feet in front of him is just ridiculous here in terms of the racing here at Daytona. But now you kind of get a chance to peek out. You can see, and does he hook up? He doesn't quite want to get there with the 56 car also pushing the one bad bump, and you've pretty much taken out the top three drivers there. But all staying very close together here. These guys trying to get as much separation as they can, or just as much pace as they can. They are separating a little bit right now from the 84 of Wyatt Knadel.
Well, I think what we're seeing is a little bit of pushing scaredness, I guess you would say. I don't know the word for it, but I think they just saw what happens when pushing goes wrong. And I think right now they're just all trying to just make sure they get laps underneath them, because as much as you want that Daytona trophy, you know that whole situation is that this is still a points race, and this is still the start of the season, so gaining as much points as you can early on does help you. So even though it's early in the race and though they may say that they don't care about points when it comes to Daytona, they still want to try to see if they can get as many laps underneath them and avoid the wreck, so that way they can at least have a decent finish, no matter how the ending turns out for them.
For sure, and it's still massive advantage bottom line here. It's the top starting to just break up more and more there. Not even too sure who is that first car on the top lane. Looks like the 88 of Trey Holmes trying to lead the way on the top lane now to put together the numbers and really compete. We've only got about 6 cars, I think, running right now up on that top lane. We're might see some more 2 wide. They are gaining a little bit on 4th place Wyatt Canadle. But right now, that bottom just that much stronger.
We are starting to see a few cars starting to go up there. And, well, I said that they may have been a little careful on the pushing. Oh, that's gone out the window. They're pushing again. And you see that with David Tooker really giving a good shove. But doing it in the right places on the straightaway there. It seems to be helping out that line, especially when the bottom line still has decided not to group up strongly together. So even though it's a smaller pack of field on that high side, they're a lot closer together. So the momentum is on their side. The energy that they're able to produce seems to be stronger, even though the bottom pack has more cars. They're just too spaced out to fully take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's right now, I think, guys, a little bit in a obviously some urgency, I think, on that top lane as we look at the pushing, but the bottom right now, I think those guys relatively happy to just kind of stay running for now, but top lane's coming with some speed, and I think it might be decision time relatively soon here for Josh Adams and Tate Lytle. It might even be too late to see if they want to defend from that line. Tate Lytle still has an opportunity, but Tyler Fody now trapped on the bottom, so no chance to defend. What do these guys do up front? Do they kind of abandon that bottom lane? I don't think that would necessarily be the smartest call, despite the pace that we're seeing from the top. These 3 on the bottom all have a lot of trust in each other, all hooked up, all veterans in the Join APS Cup Series, all race each other very cleanly and with a lot of respect. And you're starting to see right now that top lane had that kind of head of steam, and it's already starting to die out just a little bit.
Yeah, a few of them had a check up there. Someone got a little swirly, and they ended up losing a lot of that momentum. But I'm starting to see the gaps getting really, really wide on the bottom line. And that only leads me to believe one thing there, Rish, is that some of these drivers may be saving, as it looks like Michael Goodman, at some points in time, has almost 3 to 4, even 5 car lengths between him and the guy in front of him. It looks like some of the drivers are really on that fuel-saving strategy early on in this run.
Yeah, well, I mean, we also even have that second pack that's about 6 seconds behind this lead one, where you have the likes of Chris Wright, Bronson Stafford, Shane Terry, and Nick Massey. Some big hitter drivers, Johnny Thomas in there as well. So again, 2 more former Daytona 500 winners in this second pack. Oh, as we actually have a car loose, and we're around. Oh boy, Mark Keeler.
Few drivers. Yeah, they beat me to it. I was just about to mention that sometimes the wreck isn't necessarily the beginning pack. It sometimes is that pack that is farther back behind, but is more desperate to try to get up there. As you see drivers turned around, desperately trying to get going and pushing each other, and all that ended up happening there was a few cars with some damage on them now, as we are still under green.
I was going to say, I'm actually very surprised we didn't go to caution there with the 8 car being almost stationary there temporarily up on the banking. But we do stay green either way, and we'll watch as we go to the Whiskey Cast replay there. Keeler looked like he just got loose off of 4, hits the 5 of Alec Balvans, and then also into the number 7 car of Joshua Hodges, and it looks like just that 3 car incident there. But yeah, I mean, that 8 car of Keeler was pretty slow there up on the bankings. Iracing, though, saying that nobody else around him, they're not going to call that yellow flag, so being very, very cautious with throwing out that caution flag.
It's not anger seeping out of me on that, as I'm not one, wink, wink, that got screwed over with a situation like that in Xfinity. But I was told there's nothing wrong with the way iRacing has been throwing cautions, so it's not that. It surely is not because of iRacing. But that's just that's not me. saying that. But regardless, we're still green as the lead pack is starting to have that second groove starting to work their way up. Trey Holmes in that beautiful 88 scheme there. Very nice paint scheme he has going on for tonight's race. That Mountain Dew looks like it. He's now find his way closed up on the third driver in line on the bottom.
Yeah, again, they kind of keep coming with a little bit of pace here and there, that outside lane, and now they're starting to build up the numbers, and they're almost even, and maybe an opportunity here as we're getting by some lap traffic for them to maybe get for at least for Holmes to make a move.
Car around there, as it looks like a car is going to hit the inside wall. It was one of the lap cars that they were going around. These cars are so...
Walgren.
Yeah, Walgren got one of the lead lap cars trying to work their way around, got loose and tank slapped him and sent him flying into a spin coming out of turn 4. The more I'm watching this, the more out of control whenever you have to make an aggressive maneuver with these cars. They just seem to spin out as we have a caution now. Not sure what caused the caution.
Oh, looks like there was another incident there. Dustin
Dewar, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, and there it is. Garrison Hogan caught up in that. Alec Balvans as well. The 64 of Andrew Rucker get caught up in that as well. We'll see here off of turn number 2. Tap to the 5. Rucker avoids it, but 3-car incident there. Capel, 4-car.
Capel really slammed into it. We'll need to do an onboard shot of that, if anything.
Oh, boy.
Oh, he thought he was going to be able to hold it down there. See, but this is the problem that we've stated. The cautions are not
Consistent?
a given. Yeah, or consistent, so you have no idea. So if Rusty Capel gets out of the throttle and does not continue going at full speed and checks up, he loses the pack. He loses any sense of being able to stay up with anybody. So unfortunately for Rusty Capel there, he had no idea if a caution was going to come out because it's so inconsistent right now. He ends up flooring it through there and unfortunately is going to be collected and be out of the race with that very intense wreck that he just experienced.
Yeah, so certainly a place for hopeful improvement there from the service. And just hopefully to allow for again, that, like you mentioned there, just more certainty when you're coming up to wrecks, because I think being able to avoid that wreck by just slamming on the brakes would have been so much easier for the 9-car, but then you run the risk, of course, if it doesn't go to a caution of completely losing the lead pack. But we do now have that lead pack on pit road, and I'd expect just about everybody to hit pit road, except for, of course, who is that? That's Snyder, Cole Snyder. Stays out on the racetrack, the rest of the field down onto pit road. And 32 car, first time we're seeing a tally issued this season. 32 car deemed at fault.
Yeah, unfortunately, he lost the nose of it a little bit, tapped the guy on the inside, and then ended up going up and collecting into to another driver to his outside. So yeah, unfortunately for 32, it's definitely a driver error on his end. But again, it just reinstates how much I've said it. And it looks like the more they use up the fuel, the harder it is to keep these cars underneath them. It's the first time in a while that we can talk about Cup cars having handling issue, if I've ever remembered, David.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I was just listening to Mark Keeler. The 08 car is going to get a tally for that caution or that non-caution at lap 42 that didn't bring out the yellow flags. Sorry, I didn't hear what you asked me there, Gerald.
I was just asking, when's the last time you heard that handling being an issue with these in a Cup Series race at Daytona?
Yeah, usually they're kind of on rails and they just follow each other around quite a bit. So they do wiggle a lot.
Yeah, these cars certainly do seem to move just that little bit more, drivers more on their toes. As we are under caution, I do want to take a moment to speak about the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You see there picture of our co-commentator and colleague at the Elite Racing Network, Alexander Ned. During the offseason, for those of you who aren't familiar, Alex had a significant health episode, was admitted to hospital, where he still is today. And as things stand right now, unfortunately, there's no update on Alex's medical condition, as well as in terms of just a direct diagnosis. But he has made small strides. He's speaking more. His physical therapy is also allowing him to move and communicate. And we really do hope. We've seen some activity, very little from Alex or his family on Twitter as well. But we do hope Alex is tuning in tonight, and the plan is to have Alex race with us all season long and until he joins us back in the booth. We cannot wait to have you back, Alex, and of course we wish you the best of luck. We are also going to send out a link to a GoFundMe for Alex and his family. We're so close to meeting that goal there of $20,000, just $2,300 away from that. Alex is such a fantastic guy. They have a great blurb as well, and explanation on who Alex is, what he's done for not just here at the Elite Racing Network, but his love for the sport of NASCAR. We really do miss you, Alex, and we cannot wait to have you back. But we're going to send out that link there in the chat, and we highly encourage anybody to donate if they can. But Alex is going to be racing with us all season long here in the Join APS Cup Series.
Well, pace car will be going off once again, and we will be going green. We're going to be 1/4 of the way through, and now only 29 cars on the lead lap. We are whittling them down, but we still have a ways to go, boys.
A long way to go here, and Cole Snyder leading the field to green there for the first time, and stays in front on that bottom lane, kind of blocking Josh Adams from making that run up top. But now Adams with Frankenfield behind. Chad Frankenfield back in this, didn't get too much damage from that incident with his teammate, and now he's pushing that one car aggressive right on the bumper there of the one car, and Adams needs to be a little bit careful there, I think, right now on this restart to not try to swipe down to the bottom lane too quickly.
Yeah. If I was the one car, as quickly as I could get off the front bumper of the 15, I absolutely would. As he jumps down to the bottom and does exactly as I stated there, was very loose. Chad Frankenfield is not one to give way to trying to get up to the front no matter the condition. So, well, to his benefit, he's still racing and still out front here. Yeah, Frankenfield looking strong on the outside lane. We'll see how good, if there is really any damage on that car, if it can lead a pack. And Adams tries to block off maybe the run that they were getting on the back straightaway, but then quickly goes back down, picks Cole Snyder as a pusher. I'm sure he'd love to have Tyler Fody, who's the car behind Cole Snyder, to be pushing him. But now Frankenfield takes over the lead of that bottom lane and leaves Wyatt Knadel to lead the top. Oh, you see a lot of maneuvers back there. One driver almost got turned behind the 64. It's that light blue one. Try to see if I can get a number 57, I believe. Yeah, Chris Wright there almost got turned off the nose of somebody. He decided to think better of it and jump back up to the top of the racetrack. So we're seeing a lot of maneuvering still, even this late into the race, but still early on. You're still seeing these drivers trying to find a lane that can quickly get them to the front as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and we talk about these leaders a lot, but like, say you're 6, 7 cars, 10 cars even deep into a certain line. I mean, what's your thought process as the race goes on and on restarts? I mean, how are you thinking through that, ducking and diving into different lines, trying to find the line that has the most momentum at the time? I mean, as a driver back there, how do you process all that in enough time to kind of move forward and make any kind of forward progress?
Well, as you see some of these drivers, it's all about timing, really. If you can be able to get in front of a driver when a run comes, and sometimes you play it really risky and you time it just so. A lot of puckering, if you can believe it or not. Sometimes you wonder if the move you made, is it going to pay off or is it going to end up in a flaming wreck? But you definitely, what we're seeing right now is a lot of drivers making some very, very timed judgment calls of when they can get cleared down. and to their testament, that's because a lot of these drivers have such awareness of how the width and the how far their bumpers are on these cars, and are able to sense when they're clear more than hearing from a spotter that they clear or seeing anything. They have a sense of when they have cleared the driver to be able to duck down. So to their to some of these drivers, to their calling and their driving talent, it just shows that these moves are being made, and we're not seeing that wreck. So definitely kudos to the drivers that are able to do it.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of moves here over these past 2 laps here, and now you've got Andrew Rucker and Michael Goodman leading the way on either of these lanes, as a number of drivers have shuffled in front of that bottom lane, and we see another car, that the 7 and the 9 now both retired for the night. Typically that would be going down 6+ laps here in the race. So just unfortunate night. We saw obviously what happened to Rusty Capel. But yeah, I mean, lots of shuffling going on up front right now, which we haven't really seen. I mean, we've seen kind of back and forth between the outside lanes, but a lot of guys using that run on the outside, then dropping back down to the bottom, and it's just kind of a continuous carousel here, as now we all of a sudden see the 1 and 40 car up on that top lane, and they're trying to now kind of continue through that cycle.
Well, what they were doing is what I would consider the true and classic, the traditional way of running the super speedways. It's almost a respect that you do that, where you jump down to the bottom. As we see 3 wide, the 1 deciding to take the middle lane there, trying to clear the bottom. Oh, he's going to tap Rucker a little bit in the 64, not able to clear himself. We'll see if he can get back up to the top. He does do so. See, that's what ends up happening. Why I would consider a consideration for those drivers in that high side lane to clear themselves and drop down to the bottom is for the mere fact that the driver behind that pushes them so desperately to get out front, when they drop down, you allow the guy that helped you get up there to get air back onto his nose. I almost consider it as a peg dispenser of situations where the top lane, the guy clears himself, drops to the bottom, the other one starts to work his way, and it's just like this peg dispenser, essentially. It just continues to reload itself and drop down to the bottom. But occasionally you'll find one driver not willing to get rid of the benefit of the high lane. But we'll see as these drivers get a little bit more antsy or heated up that they'll start to figure out a way to drop down and find their way back up to the front regardless.
Well, right now that peg dispenser working in the favor of Chris Wright, who wasn't even supposed to be racing tonight, didn't end up qualifying through the open, was an extra for the race, and of course with the absence of Richard Hines, he makes it tonight and now is leading at the Daytona 500. And Chris is certainly no slouch, made the Final Four in his rookie season of Cup, and then basically disappeared, moved up to a broadcasting role in the Elite Racing Network, and doesn't really race full time. I don't know if he races full time in any of the other series that we run, but yeah, as of right now, Chris Wright, in his one-off appearance here at the Daytona 500, putting on a show.
The only person I was able to see make the high side lane work and have all the drivers follow you was the one time in Elite where we had Dale Earnhardt Jr. join us for a super speedway race and led the entire field on the very high side lane as everyone followed him. That's the only time I've ever seen the high side lane where everyone knew that's the place to be. Right now, we're still seeing a really non-preferred line. Both the bottom and the high side both have their strengths and weaknesses. So right now, we're still getting this great side-by-side action. Just a testament to how iRacing has improved upon these Cup cars. It wasn't too far long ago, Rish, that it was single file racing because there was no way to be able to get around a driver, no matter the pushing and shoving that you could get. And now we get racing like this where it's about a lead change every lap. As Chad Frankenfield gets into the back of the 3, almost turns him around there. Wow, the 3 got a shove really hard going into the turn, and you still see him wobbling from it.
Yeah, 15 car certainly not making many friends out there right now, out on the racetrack. Again, we know Chad's going to be aggressive moving forward, and he wants to lead laps, but yeah, right now has kind of given, I think, 3 not so great bumps so far tonight. One of those resulted, of course, in the incident with his teammate Scott Crump, who I believe is now fully out of this race, and he is. But yeah, 15 car still up top, still inside your top 6 there, and still now leads that outside lane, or at least whatever this cluster is right now. As the 1 and 57 now drop to the top lane to get by the 64.
Great racing so far. I'm loving this. There's really nowhere these drivers can't go as they try to figure out ways to get up to the front, teaming up, finding drivers that are really good at being able to push consistently. And we're seeing so many maneuvers on track, and smart maneuvers, in fact, that we're not seeing cars being shoved into a wall or being turned around. We're seeing a lot of drivers trying to figure out ways to complete these complicated passes. Right now, leading those passes has been Joshua Adams with Chris Wright right behind him.
Yeah, the racing has been incredible here, and now it's kind of shifted, right? I mean, we have this outside lane all of a sudden with all of the players, all of the power all of a sudden on the outside, but now Frankenfield dives to the bottom. He has a lapped car in front that might help pull him forward, but that could tighten things up there heading into turn number 1, but he's got the support now behind from the 64, the 40 car, all of those guys. The lap car goes below the yellow to prevent any kind of incidents, but 3 cars there on the bottom. Not sure that's going to be enough power to overtake this top lane, but typically the what we've seen so far in this race over the first quarter distance has been the bottom lane being the superior line around the racetrack. You can obviously run the top and be competitive, but I think if you want to lead, typically that bottom line just works out a little bit better, and we're seeing that here. Just 2 cars hooked up right now, the 15 and 40, and they're able to challenge the power of that top line.
Yeah, Fody just did a fantastic job of a really strong shove right there. Lined up really perfectly to the rear bumper of Chad Frankenfield, and you see the results. They rocket to the front, both clearing the outside lane. May clear Fody enough to where he may challenge Chad Frankenfield. We'll see if he, going out of turn 2, decides to make the maneuver to the high side, or will the outside lane be able to get a run back and see if they can contend for the lead once again.
Yeah, so power back to that bottom line, and now in shot, again, another name we haven't really talked much about, Joshua Clark in that 28 Toyota Camry for Pro Edge Racing. He's moved his way up. I think took kind of that strategy of stay out of trouble, and now he's trying to maybe see, okay, let's run up top with these guys up front. Try some stuff out, see who I can trust, see who I can lean on in this pack, who's going to leave me out to dry, and who's going to stay with me when I duck out. But he's up running inside that top 6 right now. Third in line on the bottom as we see the, who was that? Was that Rucker who shifted to the top lane? And they're 3 wide going into turn number 1. Oh, boy.
29 inches away from the back bumper of the 40. Inch more, and that would have turned 40 in front of the whole field as he dove it into turns 1 and 2 there. Oh, he's going to get turned in front of Scott Crump. We have a 3, 4, 5 car pile up down the back straightaway as some of our front runners are involved in this one.
Oh, boy, I think the 1 car there as well of our pole sitter, Josh Adams, in that one as well as around they go. And he was
Josh Adams,
involved.
Bad push. Yeah, bad push by Josh Adams. Gets, looks like Andrew Rucker involved. Turns him around. They both go. No, they didn't go into the wall, so the one didn't get as bad of a contact as I had thought. As you see Harrison Talon take an evasive maneuver and slams into Andrew Rucker. Oh, Andrew Rucker got hit on multiple fronts, but I think that one there would have ended his day, as it looks like a few of our front runners are going to have a bit of repairs to have to complete on their vehicles after this one.
Yikes. Yeah,
Bates
that's
taking the road course.
Again, just another bump gone bad, and that's kind of been the obviously that's typically what brings out these cautions here, and man, again, just a result of this close racing that we're seeing this time from Josh Adams there with that bad bump there, sending the 29 around.
Yeah, we saw Joshua Clark that we just mentioned qualified 6th, so he had some speed, especially for the racing ending, as he had a good Gatorade duel. He got a little bit of damage from that. Rucker got a ton of damage. The 29 got some damage from that. The one of our most dominant cars of the night, the one car there, is going to have quite a bit of damage. One thing we haven't seen, though, is drivers with quite a bit of damage find their way back up to the front of the field. It's Chad Frankenfield really considered himself lucky that when he turned, he didn't get hit by anybody. But a few of those drivers will have to keep an eye out and get a good sense if you can still be able in the draft to take a damaged vehicle and find your way up front again.
Yeah, so basically the entire field on pit road here. Josh Clark actually opting to stay out. Everybody else, though, behind him, bringing that car down there for likely 4 tires and fuel. I'd be shocked if we saw anybody with a 2-tire stop, and I will be corrected. Chris Wright takes 2 tires and opts to do that there for this run. There is 4th stop of the night for Chris Wright, 4th stop of the night for most of these drivers here. But 2 tires. Interesting call. It's been a little while since our last caution, too. So a little bit surprising there on that call from the 57.
When's the next stage?
Good question. Do we have? I believe it would be lap 100. I believe we had the lap 50. Typically we do 50, 100, and then you race for the final 100. So it seems a little bit early for that potentially to go on a strategy move.
Well, if you give me a second here, I'll take a look so that way we can properly inform everyone here at home. We apologize as we try to update you as much as we are informed. Don't want to give you anything incorrectly.
Well, either way, as we now watch, Josh Clark does come down pit road here. So that is the call then for Clark to come down pit road. Maybe just wanted that lap lead point there. You do receive 1 point for doing so. So just thinking big picture there for the 28 car, thinking about the championship early on, thinking about the playoffs as well, playoff cutoff. As he does come down to pit road, or maybe even just waiting, grabbing a little bit more fuel, and then going to hang out at the back again. He got what he wanted running up front, maybe tries going out back a little bit, settles into a groove again, and kind of works his way back forward as we get into the final 50, but still a long, long way to go in this race. As we are in our 4th caution, we will take an opportunity to talk about, of course, the people who help us pay the bills here at the Elite Racing Leagues and the Elite Racing Networks. And as always, we'll go to our fantastic Premier sponsors. And we have 2 new Premier partners with us, but we'll go with one of the ones who are familiar, and that's Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses. If you're a small business owner, then Blue Egg Marketing is your absolute biggest fan. Whatever your constraints are, they help catalyze creativity, and they'll help your business punch well above its weight class. Blue Egg Marketing, proud sponsor there of the 40 car, and has been for a while, of Tyler Fody. Next, we have TA Services, and for over 36 years, TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing, and fulfillment, as well as cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. Let the TA Services team make ship happen for you. I keep reading that one, and I never expect that one. That's what happens when you don't go through those sponsor reads. We do go back to Green Flag Racing, but we're going to quickly talk about Breezy Cam as well. It's a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto and Boston, and they're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience. Gone are the days of carrying around a tripod or a selfie stick. They help their customers and users tell better stories around meaningful moments. Check out Breezy Cam as well. 3 fantastic Premier sponsors here who are going to be a part of all of our Elite Racing Network and Elite Racing League broadcasts throughout this 2022 B season. But back to Green Flag Racing. Outside lane, Chris Wright. Inside lane, Chad Frankenfield continues to lead here. One of those protagonists, Josh Adams, out of it. Trevor Elam, who had also been in and out of that top 5 group, out of it now after that last caution. We're back underway here. This bottom lane, Chris Wright, Tyler Fody now take over the lead in the bottom.
Well, to give you an update, I did find out about the stages and why maybe we saw a couple drivers stay out for that caution. It was lap 65 was the end of the first stage there, and we have 65 more laps until the next stage ends, and then we'll have a 70 lap run to end it all at the end of the race here. So, yep, it was lap 65, right around when that caution took place at. That's probably why we saw the pushing and shoving that we did there as well.
Oh, there we go. Stage 2, ending lap 130. There we go, from race control.
Good
and
back
to
David.
took a couple of tries, but yeah, Frankenfield now swapping over to the top lane, trying to get back around. I think we're going to see this carousel back in play as both he and Jared Rexen clear themselves over the 57, and now it's David Tooker's turn to move towards the front. But Chris Wright thinks about leading that top lane. He's going to get blocked out of the bottom, so he's going to have to lead that top lane now and try and pull those guys forward as Robert Hill now joins kind of this front group in that 2 car.
Well, Jared Rexing having a great run around there. Took a little bit of the draft off the side of the 15 and rocketed himself out there in front. And he may be able to clear the 57 and Chris Wright to get both of them down to the bottom.
Yeah, Rexing, a fantastic plate racer as well, and has come in clutch at Daytona before. Not at the 500, but at our late season Daytona races as well when we run them towards the end of the regular season. So look out for that 10 car. Knows how to get the job done around this racetrack. Hoping to get the job done here over 500 miles though, but long way to go. But that 10 car's looked strong since he's joined this lead group.
Long way to go. Now we're down to 26 cars on the lead lap, so we are slowly, again, whittling it down. It seems like every about 10-15 laps here, we take out a few more as we slowly are starting to get a grasp of who we're going to have as contenders near the end of this thing. As you see David Tooker there get a little loose in the middle of the turn there with another shove in the middle of the turn by Chad Frankenfield.
And again, separation here between this lead pack and the second group that we have, and we're seeing that happen pretty quickly on these restarts. So not sure if that's by design or if there's just little checkups that happen that just cause that second group to kind of lose this main pack. But very surprising to see just, again, a few laps into this run, and we already have a very distinct 2 different groups.
Ooh, Chad Frankenfield, not a great way to get around Tooker, as he's going to find himself now stuck in the middle. Try to see if he was trying to get around Tooker to get in front of that outside lane. Timed it awfully there and allow both 2 drivers to his outside. Is going to be able to round out third in that outside lane there, but didn't go to Chad Frankenfield's plan, and it kept Tooker still going onto that outside. But we're still seeing drivers try different lanes there, and I'm interested to see if this is just them learning how to get around, if they need to, where they need to push, for maybe what ends up at the end of the race here, and when it counts and goes for a win, just trying to figure out what lane they feel like has the biggest runs.
Yeah, I mean, this whole race is a learning experience for these drivers, because every time we come back here, it feels like the package has changed in some ways just through iRacing updates and whatnot. Racing the way they are is obviously great, but they're trying, like you said, they're trying different things. Sometimes just purely running the bottom line, sometimes trying out that top line, swapping back and forth. We've been seeing kind of this rotation that's been going on. Again, we kind of as the days gone by, this top lane has started to become stronger and stronger, and I wonder as we head towards the nighttime, does the top lane become the preferred line for tire wear reasons or for any reason just in terms of handling? Is this where guys are starting to feel more comfortable as they want to get a little bit further away from that yellow line as the night goes on?
Yeah, either way we go about it, you do start seeing that outside lane starting to work whenever they are really good about keeping together. But every so often, there's a driver that decides to duck down low, and that's when that inside lane gets that surge going. We saw it right there with the 88 and Trevor Elon there, or Trey Holmes in the 88, dropped down to the bottom, It gave a short surge to the inside, and then all the help behind him decided to go to the outside lane. So 88's got to wonder, is it him, or is it truly that they all feel the outside lane's the place to be?
Yeah, that's a rough spot to be in if you're Trey Holmes, especially with support from a technical alliance behind you there with David Tooker. Is you don't really want to leave that 19 car hanging either, and so it makes your choices a little bit limited in terms of joining that top lane, because you're trying to not just take yourself but your drafting buddy with you there as well. So tricky situation, but they still lead that bottom lane for now, and they're not giving up that many more positions now that they've dropped those first few. Might see a few cars drop in front of them, but they're still very much in contention.
Well, from what I'm seeing here is they're all playing nice again, as they still see a long road ahead of them before the end of the next stage, but all want to just make sure that they keep within grasping distance of that lead to gain those bonus points that they get for the stage end. As you get 10, the top 10 drivers get points from 10 points from first to 1 point all the way back down in 10th, as you would see in the Nextel Cup. Look how old I am. Into the Cup Series, what you see in real life, and I believe 1 bonus point for the stage winner as well for the championship standings as they get closer to that starting to wrap up at the end of the regular season.
I think everybody can age themselves by what sponsor they call the Cup Series by, and that certainly puts. I was gonna say I maybe ages yourself, or at least ages yourself in terms of NASCAR knowledge, because I still call it the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Where were you at, David? Were they still on the beach back then?
No comment.
Well, we'll lose
That's
our
brutal.
broadcast. Yeah, we'll lose the broadcast here as David gets off.
What's that? Your mic's going out a little bit.
As far as they are starting to come up on some of these lap cars to put them a lap down. And the rules here, what we have to keep an eye on for some of these drivers going a lap down. At Daytona and Talladega Super Speedway packages, Elite has a rule: when you go 6 or more laps down, you are officially out of the race. They stop scoring you, and they get you off the track in the most embarrassing method possible. They just boot you. So everyone in the race knows when you've reached that 6-lap mark, as you see a couple more drivers going laps down. Few of them still have a little ways to go, as I believe we still have 30 cars in the field, only 26 on the lead lap, though.
Yeah, I was going to say the last placed running car right now is Cody Harrington, who's currently 4 laps off the leader. So some ways to go for Cody there, but yeah, not too sure where he is relative to other drivers. Can take a look. He is all on his own, so it could come sooner rather taan later for the driver of the number 66 car there, which would be unfortunate. And not too far in front of him is also the 08 car of Mark Keeler. So and Keeler, who's had not a great night in terms of the incident and the tally already, could get worse there if he doesn't see a caution that kind of brings him back towards this pack. But both those guys still sit 4 laps off these leaders, I believe.
Well, now we've started seeing the bottom starting to be where everyone wants to find themselves as they are wrapping around, possibly saving. As you see from about 4th on back, starting to get quite a bit of a gap between them and the drivers in front of them. So you are, every time I see that, Rish, it just goes into mind that they're possibly saving. How you do that is simply just lift out of the throttle, if you can believe it or not. It's that simple. It makes it oh yeah, okay, that's pretty easy. Well, it's harder than it looks, because you got to lift out of the throttle but not get run over from the guy behind you. So you have to find that equal part of it, of enough throttle but just enough save to be able to have it banked for every lap that you go around, just going to your bottom line of miles around the racetrack you'll complete.
Gerald, thanks a lot.
Leave that bottom lane briefly to pass a lapped car, but yeah, I mean we get, no matter how good the racing package is, you always get runs like this at Daytona during a full distance race. Just where guys, again, just settle into a groove. Everybody's just trying to either save tires, save fuel, or just save their equipment in general. And so everybody's relatively happy just kind of hanging out here single file. As a little bit of a blink there from Trey Holmes. That can certainly be detrimental at a track like Daytona. But again, in a more relaxed position like this, where we now see this lead group almost entirely single filed, guys aren't going to be that aggressive with pushing. I think the pace is going to, I guess it probably picks up a little bit if you're not running side by side much, as crazy as it's to think about, even though these guys aren't really that aggressive pushing each other.
I think it also comes down to you see them starting to form a little bit of a high side lane there, but it depends on who's leading the entire pack. If it's someone that everyone knows is going to be a front runner and they trust, they just kind of automatically believe that they're going to be up front. So you're seeing them all being behind Fody on this bottom side lane, kind of just finding their way around the racetrack, knowing that he's out front and not really too concerned about getting around him, as they all already know he's a front runner. So as long as they can be there at the end, I think they're fine running behind Fody. As they say that, more and more cars are jumping to the high side lane. It looks like we have a new contender running that high side lane there, Shane Therian, and that purple. No, not Shane Therian. Who's in that purple car up there? So I believe it's his teammate, the 83. That's is it 83?
I see an 83. Yeah, I see an 83. It is Shane Therian.
But he's in 26th position.
I think he's a lap down, yeah.
Oh, Shane Therian one lap down, but with a clean car still underneath him. That got me confused. I apologize about that. Shane Therian on the outside with his teammate there, Nick Massey, and matching schemes, different color though, the blue to the purple, as Shane Therian trying to get his lap back the hard way and passing the entire field back up there as they continue to put vehicles a lap down here.
Yeah, and keep an eye out for Shane Therian. Nick
88 sideways. Oh, wow, Trey Holmes there. I'm telling you, when you get out of the throttle and you make a evasive maneuver, he got deathly sideways, but did a fantastic job. He will still be able to stay in the front draft. Is impressive if you know how difficult that is. Just so, but he finds himself still in the draft after almost losing it there coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, curious to see what happened, if that was all on his own or if he got a little bit of a bad bump coming off of 2, because I know that turn 2, the exit of turn 2, has been a problem area for drivers in terms of just the car snapping loose as you transition from the banking back onto the back straightaway. So wonder if that's a condition that we're starting to see a little bit that these drivers are having to deal with. Certainly Racing is back on up front as lap down Shane Therian is leading this outside lane into contention, and you've got 3 of your Sky Motorsports drivers there all lined up. Nick Massey, Bronson Stafford on the lead lap. Shane Therian trying to get back onto the lead lap. And yeah, those guys, that's a team to watch out for. They've won the last 2 races that we've had here at Daytona.
There you can see what happened with Trey Holmes, yeah.
It just comes off loose off of turn number 2. Does a good job to gather it back up, stay within the draft, and right now Trey Holmes sits in the 16th position. But here we go. Shane Therian drops to the bottom lane ahead of David Tooker, so away from his teammates, but has an opportunity now, and a well-timed caution could take him out in front. But look at that huge run that those guys get on the outside. Not sure if it's a checkup by the 83 that just slows down that outside lane, but all of a sudden the 48 and the 61 just surge forward on the outside to take over the lead of the bottom.
Yeah, right now we got about an 18-car breakaway from the rest of the pack. That's the lead draft right now, is 18 vehicles and 1 lap car. But they are definitely, as you see, those Sky Motorsports, as you stated, find themselves all right up the front of this pack here, as you see what good time teamwork can accomplish at Daytona, as working together, they all went from the back of the pack to the front in a relatively short time frame there.
Yeah, they really did. And the most interesting part of this all is, of course, that that 83 car of Shane Therian right now sits in the lucky dog spot. with the way this race is shaping out and with the way the order is right now, and has a reasonable gap to Alec Balvans as well, who's the next car a lap down. So should be relatively okay in the grand scheme of things, but interesting to see that despite no damage on that 83 car, he sits third behind his two teammates right now, allowing Nick Massey and Bronson Stafford to lead the way. Obviously puts him at a little bit of risk. Massey goes around.
Still saves it. Is he going to be able to do like the 88 and stand a draft? It doesn't look like it. He is absolutely going to lose the draft here. And he's going to have to wait 12 seconds for the next pack of cars to be able to come pick him up. It is going to be a lonely next couple of laps for Nick Massey, a previous Daytona winner, as teamwork seems to be costly here at Daytona today for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. I wonder what happened there. Again, might have just been a bad bump there from the 61 of Bronson Stafford, or was it another situation like we saw with Trey Holmes where the 48 car just got loose coming off of turn number 2? It's this car is certainly biting people here tonight in terms of the race package, but there you can see poor Nick Massey right now just having to really struggle around this racetrack. And here we go off of 2. Stafford goes to the bottom, and it just looks like a bad bump there. Just caught the back bumper, the right rear quarter panel almost. Yeah.
Yeah, the left rear bumper.
Left rear, yeah.
Yeah, left rear bumper turns another driver around. These bumpers are not completely flat, it looks like. There's a little bit of a lip to it, and it just seems to be turning these drivers around. I don't know about you, David. I know you're talking that this is going to be a long enough race that you may end up having to go to the bathroom. I don't think we're going to be able to let you go because these drivers tend to not want to let things go, and they are still battling. It's so hard, lap after lap.
Well, Gerald, how can you make fun of my age and then not let me go to the restroom? And I want to thank you for that, by the way. Some of the drivers who are listening to the stream while they're running were weighing in on driver chat that I indeed was at Daytona when there was sand. So I appreciate you giving them that fodder.
Well, at least you let everyone know. Depends is not in the staple for Huckleberry's
not there yet.
Protocol for when he goes to the races. But
I don't have an RC Anderson bucket either, so.
I will say I do love the fact that the drivers are talking about this while they're racing around here. At 200 miles an hour, and they're making some pretty dicey moves. They're not just riding around. So love that discussion goes on while the racing happens as well.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 laps where they're talking about getting together at Fody's house too. So
we saw a couple of drivers back there get really loose. I'm telling you, the longer we go on these fuel runs, the more these tires are burned down. I think tires are a factor a little bit, just for the mere fact that I'm seeing coming out of these turns. If you lift just a little bit too much, it just gets your car so out of control loose that you end up sliding to the bottom without your control. And I have a feeling that may play into a factor of a few wrecks going forward from here. But yes, going back to you, David, I am proud of you that you can still use the bathroom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, boy. Tyler Fody, Chris Wright, Shane Terrian.
Nowhere but up from here, boys.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're right in the middle here of the broadcast, basically. Where that's more or less what you'd expect the discussion to be about, isn't it? But yeah, three blue cars lead the way on the bottom. There we go. We'll change the topic to that. Between Fody, Wright, and Terry, and I guess that's purple on the 83 on the hood there. Before you get to Bronson Stafford in that red, a manufacturer change for Sky Motorsports as well. We're running the Ford Mustangs now in a Toyota Camry. Not too sure if that makes much of a difference at all outside of aesthetics, but just something to note there. You have another pretty big team, pretty strong team as well, joining Pro Edge on the side of Toyotas. I don't think there's too many other major Toyota teams in Elite anymore either. I think most guys are running Chevys as it is.
We are starting to see a driver that, another looseness by the 61, almost spun it around there in front of Chad Frankenfield. But driver that got loose earlier on, lost all his track position, now finds his way back up front. As you see the leader trying to do a little bit of preemptive blocking there as he jumps up in front of the 88 of who I was speaking about, Trey Holmes. Got loose out of turn 2 a little over 10 laps ago. Now finds himself still in contention and still battling for the lead up here. As once again, we have our same cast of characters now back out front.
There you see Fody up front. And again, Terrian doing a good job at hanging. I think that 83 car might have just gotten a bad hand because he's got a lot of pace in that car right now and just is waiting for a break, waiting for a caution to get back onto the lead lap and kind of get back in contention there. He just needs to make sure that he is still in that lucky dog position whenever that caution flag does wave. But yeah, this bottom lane right now looking very strong as you have Bronson Stafford, Joey Chapman, both behind Shane Terrian there. Obviously, you had Nick Massey drop down. He's still running in the 20th position, though obviously in that second pack, about 20 seconds behind this lead group. So it's a substantial pack as well. You've got about 9 drivers in that second group there. Nick Massey, of the most note, and I think of the one with the least damage on his car there. But they're continuing to lap around here and maintaining a relatively solid gap to the lead group.
Yeah, but if they have any hopes to be able to get back up front or even be able to go after the stage, which is at 130, they're going to need a caution. They are still way too far behind and by the look of it, way too disorganized as there's still a lot of gapping between each driver as they have a slew of cars with damage mixed in around them, affecting how they are able to draft with each other. So a caution is definitely in their future if they have any hope of being able to get any kind of stage points at the end of this.
Absolutely. We're now just past 30 laps complete on this set of tires and fuel. We know in the duels, guys were able to make it about 40 laps or so on a tank of fuel and on a set of tires. Is that kind of the number we're going to expect to see, or will we probably see guys in a little bit sooner than that? Because I think that took some pretty severe fuel saving to make it that far.
I believe we're still early on enough to where you're going to want to pit with the main pack. As we've seen, 1, 2, 3, 4 cars is not the same as 18 on track. You're going to want to go with a big pack. So we'll hear from the drivers well before their pit stops as they start to work and strategize with maybe a few drivers that they may not have a direct contact with in their Discord. So a little bit of team-on-team participation when they go down pit road. And they'll do little shout-outs in the race while it's going on to all correlate their driving pitting effort.
So we'll keep an eye on that. Reminder that lap 130 is going to be the stage end, so certainly a pit stop coming up here, and around lap 100 would be kind of the perfect place to split the stage, as now you have Shane Terrian back up to leading this pack, despite of course being down a lap, and puts him back on the lead lap actually, which would save him quite a bit. Obviously, being on the lead lap versus being in the lucky dog position gives you some privileges there, I believe, but still, again, fairly comfortable for Terry, and again, just hoping for that caution to come out, and being up front here again kind of should save him from any kind of disasters that happen a little bit deeper in this group.
It's about this time in the run where you start losing feeling in your toesies and you start having to stretch where you can, and still have to keep in mind that you have to keep sharp enough to make these last-second maneuvers to be able to stay out front. So these drivers at about this time frame, right around the middle area, we're about halfway through this race already, and it's about this time where you start trying to work your way into confidence that you've still got a chance and that you have to be all there for it to be able to finish it off at the end of this race.
was going to say, this is the point in the race where I normally develop a crick in my neck, as I always turned my head a little bit every time I went on the bankings. And you do that for 100 laps, and you start to feel that just a little bit. But we are now at halfway distance here in the 7th running of the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500. Tyler Fody led the way as we crossed onto lap number 100, and as we complete it, it looks like that 40 car will be the guy leading the way, and Joey Chapman giving him a strong push there. Shane Terrian still very much in there. Chris Wright, who subbed in and is still inside this top 4 group, and Chad Frankenfield, who has had an interesting race so far, but continues to stay competitive inside that top 5.
Yeah, that outside lane is completely falling apart. Really only 2 drivers out there as of right now, as they have all relegated themselves to the bottom. Again, it comes down to it, in my mind, of who's out front. Right now, it's Tyler Fody. And again, you get this comfort feeling once you know of a certain driver that's out front. You just kind of, I guess the word is live with it, because you know the driver is good enough to be out front. So there's no real worry about trying to get around him, as you feel fairly comfortable. He knows how to get around there at a decent speed. So right now, this is a good time for a lot of drivers to kind of figure out their strategy, work out an idea of when they need to pit, figure out how they need to be able to get the stage points at the end of lap 130. So a lot of thinking and a lot of chess playing going on behind the scenes of what you're seeing right now.
Absolutely. And you know what else it's a good time for? Time to thank our great sponsors here at the Elite Racing Leagues, and our race sponsor as well as series sponsor for tonight. For the race, it's the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500, and Homeplace brews sessionable farm-to-pint beers using lots of local ingredients from Yancey County, North Carolina. At North Place, you'll find plenty of lagers, table beers, hoppy American and malty English beers, and some mixed culture fermentations. Homeplace Beer Company has been supporting the Elite Racing Leagues for a number of seasons now, especially the Daytona 500. So check them out. And join APS.com continues to support the Cup Series basically since the start of this Cup Series. And APS offers a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card related transactions. Their industry specific solutions provide the best options for your business model, and they have experienced client service representatives who understand exactly what your processing needs are. So shout out, of course, to our fantastic series sponsor as well as race sponsor here tonight as well. Single file basically all throughout this lead pack now. Not sure if we have anybody really peeking out towards the back of this group, and maybe a couple guys grabbing air, but it looks just like a single line of cars in the lead pack for now. And again, this is this run now. We're probably getting relatively close to pit stops, and there you go. Just as I say that, we've got a group of guys coming down pit road, this entire second pack all hitting pit road at the same time.
Looks like our front pack, we've got some calls of drivers starting to come in. I believe what you'll be seeing is maybe 2 tires or just fuel only at this run, as they don't want to spend the entire time getting 4 tires. That will definitely put you back, as fuel does not take as long as 4 tires.
We have someone spinning on pit road. Someone spun on pit road on the entrance to pit road. One of our leaders there. Not too sure who that was in the distance. Gets it rolled around. Was that Wyatt Canadle? Potentially, who might have spun around. No, he's stationary. We'll have to see who exactly that was. Maybe the 19 of David Tooker, as I see some damage that's appeared on the 19 car there. I'll have to head back to the Whiskey Cast replay whenever we get a chance. It was actually the 06 car of Cole Snyder.
Snyder, all right.
Sorry about that, sending Dave there on a wild goose chase, just trying to find out who that was. But yeah, entering pit road as our first group of leaders came onto pit road. We'll see just a little bit late on the brakes. a little bit out of control, and that's the danger, obviously, of coming in these big packs is, when you exit correctly, as we have another guy who completely missed the 44 car, so 06 and 44 must have come together. 44 there of Michael Goodman. Oh, 06
Hooker
gets
got
tapped
into
off
him.
the 19. That's where I saw the damage on the 19 car, too, so there we go.
Yeah, ultimately, that's going to affect 4 drivers there. Probably the worst out of all of them is going to probably be Goodman, as he was essentially kicked out of pit road and forced to have to go back around to do another lap. So Michael Goodman going to be really relegated back farther, as now he's come down pit road now, but he may even go a lap down from that.
Yeah, we've got the blend now happening on the back straightaway. Tate Lytle, Chad Frankenfield, Chris Wright, all coming off pit road. You see the quickly advancing group led by Tyler Fody on the outside. They're going to stream on by here. And that lead group has become substantially smaller after green flag pit stops, as it usually does.
Yeah, even more than I would have expected. We've only got, it looks like, what is that, 7 lead lap cars?
Yeah, Chris Wright's to the back of that pack.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Chris Wright in 6th position, actually. That 7th car you see there is still the lap down, Shane Terrian. So 6 cars in this lead group, or no, yeah, 7
Bronson
cars.
Stafford, 7th.
Yeah, Bronson Stafford. So 8 cars in this lead group, 7 of them on the lead lap, and then a 4-second gap back to the next group of 3 cars: Josh Robin, David Tooker, Jared Rexing, and then another 3 seconds, I think, back to just a lone Johnny Thomas. A ton of separation right now in this group of cars here. Just flipping through, and once you get past Johnny Thomas, you've got a lot of single cars out on the racetrack, and that's really going to start hurting them. No packs back here. You kind of see them all flipping through. No major support for any of these drivers as things stand. They've all got some work to do to either catch a group or they're going to quickly drop down a lap or two. There's that first group that came down pit road before our lead pack. They still remain some ways behind the lead pack, but right now, what is it? It's 18 seconds, so it was 20 seconds when they came in. A little bit of that gap closed up, but not enough where they'd kind of be happy with that. They really do need a caution to kind of bring this field all back together.
Now, should this group start picking off those singles that are ahead of them?
I'd imagine so, yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like five single cars ahead of them.
Some positions to be gained. Yeah. Some positions to be gained for these guys. Right now running 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. But we go back to that lead pack. They're all single filed out up front. Led by Tyler Fody. Joey Chapman, Wyatt Canadle back up in that top group as well. He's been looking strong in that 84 car. Was victorious at Talladega. So the last time we visited a super speedway, it was Wyatt Canadle. So keep an eye on him. Tate Lytle continues inside the top 5, looking strong. Chad Frankenfield there, Chris Wright, Bronson Stafford, we mentioned, is your top 7 group. All these guys in line here and well separated from the rest of the group. And you've got basically 1 3-car breakaway behind them, and then a number of individual cars back to where that group of led by Nick Massey was. And they've already moved up all those positions. Nick Massey now sits in 11th spot. And that second pack starting to form a little bit as they gather those stragglers who kind of left out pit road on their own.
And they organized in the driver chat and agreed that they were going to kind of fall in behind them as they picked them up. So,
yeah, eventually here you will start seeing accumulation of bigger packs together. There may be 3 or 4 on racetrack, but as single cars get collected, you'll start seeing these groups start to form. So good things for the pack behind the leaders here, as they have a decent sized pack going for them, about 10 cars, and about to gain in about 9 seconds behind a 3-car pack to further gain themselves to 13. So eventually here we will start seeing the further behind pack from the main pack start to get the car count to make an effective run to catch themselves back up to the leaders.
And Joey Chapman's fallen back to be the last lead car in that.
Yeah, maybe a strategy move there from Chapman as he now lines up with teammates in front of him, with Terry and Stafford and Chapman now all in a line there.
Can confirm the last lap by the group that is from 11th on back was about a half a second faster than the main pack. So if that is the case, and probably around 30 to 32 laps, they will catch themselves. But that will leave this main pack to battle it out, if without a caution, for the end of the stage to figure out the top 10 in finishing order.
Yeah, there's definitely pace in that second group if they can stay organized, which looks like what they're trying to do. But they run into the same issue that they were having before the pit stops, and that's Nick Massey is really the only undamaged car in that group. I mean, you've got slight damage on Trevor Elam, slight damage on Josh Clark. You got some pretty heavy damage on the 22 of Garrison Hogan. Trey Holmes has some damage, so everybody here has a little bit of damage or even a lot of damage, and that's just going to hurt your ability to move forward. Nick Massey's the right car to be leading this group, of course. He is definitely the best conditioned car here, but how much support can he really get from the guys behind him? It's going to be limited, and right now that gap, 16 seconds to the leaders, like you said, has dropped a little bit. But it's not dropping consistently. It looked like they kind of gained a little bit when they caught and gained a few cars into the group, but now that they've all settled, that gap looks to have stabilized around 16 seconds.
Yeah, that time around they were only 0.3 of a second faster, but they will be catching up on a 3-car pack of very good cars of Josh Robin, Jared Rexing, and David Tooker there from 8th, 9th, and 10th. So they are very close, within less than 5 seconds from collecting in a few more stronger running cars to help them. Another thing to remember, we've seen this earlier in the race, the pack that tries to catch the lead pack, the shoving and how hard they try to get pushed up to the lead ends up causing sometimes the wreck. So you may think that, oh, well, if they're behind the leaders, they're in a safer spot, but that ends up sometimes being the most dangerous area on the track because their desperate need to try to catch the lead pack will sometimes push the boundaries too far and ends up with a caution in of itself.
Yeah, for sure. And the way these this 3-car group as well as this big pack here blend is going to be really critical. It's just making sure that, and I'd assume they will be as they get closer and closer, is they're just openly communicating and saying, hey, this is the plan with this big pack behind. Are they going to join up to this group and push? Or more realistically, I think this big pack that has more speed is going to try and fly on by, let those guys get in line, and then see maybe if they're stronger, they can pop out, move forward a couple of spots, and become more pushers up front in this group. But you've just got to make sure that everybody's maybe not happy, but everybody's in agreement with what the game plan is here, because all these guys are on the same page that they have to catch this lead group. That lead breakaway of 7 cars, the rest of these guys have to catch up whatever way possible, and so they got to come up with a decision here within the next probably 5 laps.
Well, here in just a couple laps themselves, they will start to catch that sniff of draft of that 3-car pack in front of them. And when they do, we will see that 1, 2, 3/10 of a second gain on that lead pack become close to half a second to even a second once they really get that speed going. Like you said, it will all be really kind of down to how they are able to merge together to create the one pack. So it's good to have the draft now and the speed as you see them really getting on their back bumper in a quick way right here on the back straightaway.
And it sounded like the 3 cars are just, they're going to move high and they're going to let them go by so they don't stop their momentum. And they'll just jump in with them when they can.
Well, that last time around, the leader was close to, or the lead of this pack was 16 seconds behind the leader. We'll see this time around, as you see a little bit of wiggling there, how much they gained. So this time around, they gained
About a second.
about a second. Yeah, about 0.8 of a second, essentially, is what they gained from right there. So now they find themselves down to 15 seconds behind the lead pack. So looks like the pack did a good job getting through it. And once we get them all tight-knit together, we'll slowly start seeing them hopefully gain on this front pack.
So here we go. We've now got 2 packs separated by, like we said, 15 seconds. This first one, though, led by Tyler Fody. And we don't get those live stats immediately, but I'd imagine Fody's up there if he hasn't already basically clinched most laps led tonight. That 40 car has not really exited the top 5 at any point tonight. Maybe a few laps shuffled back, but he's been thereabouts. And from your outside pole sitter, 40 car looking very strong, and with the 1 car out of this race as well, I'd imagine that Fody is the fastest car that we have here in the field today. But it isn't necessarily always the fastest car that matters at the end here at Daytona. It's going to be about the one that makes those best decisions towards the end. But right now, everybody very happy to settle in behind this 40 car. I'm sure just because of the pace he's able to carry around this racetrack.
We say that, but eventually here, the stage will be ending in 10 laps, and we know they want to work together, but we also know that they want to gain points. So what you're seeing right now may change, and that will help the back pack is when these drivers starting to try to get around each other to be able to get those stage points. So we may still see
with an issue.
Uh-oh.
Saw him just drop down timing and scoring. Might see if we can grab that. He's down on the apron. Wonder what happened there for a defending 500 champion. Second issue he's had tonight. Take a look here. That's Trevor Elam behind him in the 29 car.
Yeah, Elam got into his left rear. Again. We've been seeing that as the weakness of this car, and unfortunately it turned Nick Massey around. Once again, the desperation to push and go faster has ended up with the pushing pack behind, causing some issues. And that really, really slowed down their time as they are trying to figure out who should lead the pack, because the 29 had a little bit of front-end damage. So it looks like they relegated the 88 to the front with Josh Clark behind to do the pushing. But that dropped them back nearly 2 seconds from the lead just in that 1 lap.
I was going to say their work's basically been completely undone. Back to 17.5 seconds right now behind that lead group. And that number actually right now just continues to rise slowly and surely as that second lane just tries to regroup. But there could also be a little bit of unrest there now as different guys are going to want to lead. I think they were pretty happy to have Massey in front. Trey Holmes, I don't know exactly the condition of that 88 car. He did have that loose moment, but doesn't look to have much damage on that car. So he could potentially be a strong leader. Maybe a little bit of left rear bumper damage as there's definitely action going on back here. Josh Clark looks to the outside, but he's going to be left all on his own. He's going to drop all the way to the back here. So I wonder if they're going to try and shuffle some guys up to the front to try and lead this group, or if there might even be some infighting here now.
Sounds like they needed somebody. They were looking for somebody with less damage to push Trey.
We saw Josh Clark have some front-end damage from when he got collected in that 1 wreck. But one thing that we also are going to have here is the benefits that backpack had, catching a slower group of cars, helped them a lot. But the lead draft, to be a bearer of bad news, is about to pick up 5 new draftees as they are slowly within about, I think, 4 or 5 seconds from a group of lap-down cars that they are catching. So it looks like we will have a battle for the lucky dog that's going to be starting to build once they get past them, because there are a few lap-down cars. Shane Therian, who's been up front, will now have a challenge of a group of vehicles he's going to have to be in front of if he hopes to get any kind of lucky dog at any type of caution.
Yeah, I guess good news for Therian is that he's well inside this pack, but yeah, this is going to be interesting to see again. How do they merge going down a lap? I'd imagine they won't fight too much. But we'll see here. And again, communication is key here at Daytona as the leaders go all the way to the top of the racetrack, making it very clear what their intentions are. And they're going to loop all the way around these guys up to 20th position. Dustin Dewar, I think, will be no, Alec Balvans is even further behind. He's a lap behind this group and behind him. So yeah, we'll see. Almost there. Shane Terrian, I think, has one more car to pass there. In Dustin Dewar, he does. And Shane Terrian back in the lucky dog position.
Well, I think that might have just
Briefly.
been the nail in the coffin for that second pack, as now they find themselves essentially 20 seconds behind the lead draft here. So their only hope now, if they want to have any contention to be able to battle for the win, if this continues on, is for a caution. So right now, 7 drivers within at least reach distance from the lead is all we have battling for it here on out.
Crazy to think about. Just how this race shaped up, and it was through this long green flag run where we've kind of seen this total breakup, and the pit stops especially. I think just guys tried to be organized on the pit stops, and it turned to disorganization as there were incidents on pit road and just struggles in general. And now we've seen these guys split up this way. And are we starting to see battling here as we're now lap 126? You mentioned it. We're getting close to that stage break. We are now 2 wide in this lead group of cars, and Tyler Fode, for the first time in a number of laps, has to make a defensive move on Wyatt Knadel.
Oh, that's because look at that lap counter. We're at lap 127, where with only about 3 laps away from the end of this stage. So it was nice knowing you, Fode. It's time to go for the lead here. As you see, the 56 helped the 84 to get himself up the front. Another driver there with that we saw that just went a lap down was the 48. He's now going to be within this front pack. He got to the front pack, just not the way he wanted to.
Yeah, certainly not ideal there for Nick Massey, as he's also out of the lucky dog position.
Goodman got loose there, almost collected a few of those drivers, and saves it underneath them. But with the more cars we add to this pack, Osco, the more risk, as again, you're getting a lot of defensive drivers behind there. They all have something to race for, and that's for the lucky dog staying on the lead lap. They see their only chances of getting on the lead lap is to beat the other guys. So it's a race within the race in this main pack, and that may be a setup of disaster as we get closer to this end of the stage.
Yeah, this is where the aggression's picking up. Look at that, Fode to the outside there with the run on Tate Lytle. Kind of dies out a little bit there as he didn't have the support from Chris Wright, but now he leads that outside lane. They're going to have 2 laps to try and get back to that breakaway of 3 cars. They get by Chad Frankenfield here. They're side by side at least with the 15 car. But now all of a sudden it's again, the numbers favor the outside lane here. It's going to shift back and forth, I think, as guys are going to do whatever's best for them in this lead pack of cars to try and get the best stage finish. But yeah, now you've got Tyler Fode, Chris Wright hooked up on the top lane. You've got the 84 of Wyatt Knadel and Tate Lytle hooked up, and there you see contact bumping there from Tate Lytle halfway down the back straightaway. Gives that push up for the 84, but just so strong on the outside between Wright and Fode, and they're now already side by side through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that disconnect on the bottom side was all it needed for that outside lane to surge. Here comes Fode. He's going to clear himself for the lead. The question will be, will he stay to the outside with Chris Wright, or is he going to drop down to the bottom? Pushing is coming to shoving as they are getting closer. You see the 56 really give a strong push to the back of the 84 as here they come around turns 1 and 2. We will have one more set of turns to settle out this stage end.
Yeah, Knadel got a little bit low there, I think, through 1 and 2, and that might hurt the momentum, but you can see how hard Tate Lytle is pushing the 84 car. They're both squarely down the straightaway, but Chris Wright now decides, hey, I'm going to try and go for this stage win. I want those points there. and the 57 dives to the bottom. The 40 car, still good run on the top lane, but now off of turn number 4. If you want a dress rehearsal for the finish of this race, this is what it could look like. Tyler Fody up top with the run. It looks like he's going to get it done, and he will. Tyler Fody wins the second stage here as we stay green, and we now have 70 laps to go, but there you go. We'll see if these guys get back to single file now to kind of get back into this run now that the points have been settled. Or if they're going to keep fighting it out here. But Fody, good run there to come back as well from basically dropping to the back of this lead group of 7 cars and kind of shuffling back up to the front when it mattered the most. So again, dress rehearsal right there. Points on the line, but you're obviously thinking about the big picture as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Fody had the run. Fody felt confident in the outside lane, was not hesitant to stay there. He did not even look at the bottom. He stayed up there and had the push to be able to come back around and finish out the stage in the front. But good battling all around for all those drivers. Oh, I see Chris right there get sideways. Bad shove. His car's bouncing up and down as he's going to try to keep it down low. Ooh. Eventually does slide back up, gets into a 24. Huge contact. Chris Wright loses the front of his nose. No caution as his car is absolutely destroyed from contact with looked like the 24 there.
Yeah, 24 car Michael Hossack. It should be, and I'm just looking for him in timing and scoring here.
He's a lap down. He was one of those lap down cars that got put down. Unfortunately for Michael Hossack there, he also suffered a lot of damage. So Chris Wright is now limping around the racetrack. No draft, no front bumper, and it looks like probably no steering involved in that vehicle anymore, as essentially he goes from battling for the lead just a few laps before to night over, all with a bad push coming out of the tri-oval on the front straightaway.
So there you see it. Looks like, was that the 60 car of Joey Chapman, I think, that maybe just gave just again caught that side bumper of Chris Wright there. This time the right side bumper, and that kind of sends that car around. And Chris's issue right here was trying to get back up onto the racetrack, or sliding back up onto the racetrack. Kind of tough to do that at that speed. Slides up into Michael Hossack. Nowhere for the 24 car to go in that one.
Well, that now suffers another consequence there, as now the main pack goes down to 6 drivers within reach of the lead there. We still have battle for the lucky dog going on in this main pack, as Shane Therian still finds himself relegated in that spot, but with a lot of thirsty drivers behind him looking at that spot. So right now it's single file back out for the leaders. A little bit of heartache for a few of them, and maybe some heart-pounding moments as they all get back to trying to just get this front pack in the right direction and put more gap between them and the back pack.
I was going to say, through all of that, no ground gained by the second pack there, through the stage end, through the racing, through the contact. And that's obviously a concern if you're one of the drivers in that second pack, especially one of those drivers with a clean car, with a strong race car. That's a tough position to be in right now, and I think they probably have this feeling at this point that they're totally trapped.
Well, we will be having more green flag runs, and that will end up causing more drivers to lose draft to their relegated packs, and may mix it up, may be able to bring some drivers back into this, but right now it's going to be a tough cause. But we are starting to see a little bit of a speed pickup from that backpack, but they've got so much they have to try to work their way back up through. It seems like a very difficult task in front of them.
Yeah, it's a tall order without a caution here, and who's to say a caution isn't going to come relatively soon? But it has been, relatively clean racing in the sense of we haven't been, not the crazy wrecks that would bring out a caution, I suppose, according to Iracing. So, yeah, you never know at a track like this. Could we see again as the aggression picks up? We see more of those incidents typically appear. But we've also had races like this where, 65, 70 laps to go, we're going to go green all the way to the end. So you have no idea what's about to come, and you just kind of have to be ready for anything. It's kind of funny here in the elite racing leagues is that a big track like Daytona, you honestly have a better likelihood of running a full green flag race than you do at shorter tracks.
Well, especially with how the cautions have been so finicky tonight. But again, it takes one bad pit stop to cause all of it to go wrong. That happened in our race just a couple nights ago in the Xfinity. Was one of the group of people that were leading it and was doing so well. We decided to come down pit road, and one of the drivers just had a mistake there, and we had a caution right as everyone's pitting. So these pit stops, not only will it cause a possible mix-up of the running order, but also brings in of its own a good chance that there may end up be contact in a car causing a caution as well. So as we get further along in this green flag run, they may end up getting closer to an inevitable caution.
What are we looking at? A window of around 144, somewhere around there?
So very shortly. Yeah, if it's 144 is what it's looking like, we're just on the precipice of it.
Yes, I could see things maybe tightening up a little bit here as well as pit stops come around, and almost saw guys diving over. It might have looked like it at least briefly, but yeah, it's interesting the way that the race plays out when you get these long green flag runs, and just how it really shakes up the race. And we saw in that last green flag run, we went from about 20 cars in a group down to 7. Who's to say that we don't get another big cut after this? I mean, we could have maybe a few breakaways of like 3 or 4 cars breaking up this lead pack. Maybe that gives an opportunity to that second group. There's still so many things that can happen, with green flag pit stops, and I think they really add an interesting element to super speedway racing.
Well, right now what we see is that the second place driver is really affecting the speed of his front pack. He has not been bumping the leader, which is what we've normally seen from the lead pack, as they usually would be bumping it and trying to surge that speed. And what's end up happening here is they have been losing about a half a second since these two got out front to that back pack. It went from 19 seconds not too long ago down to 16 seconds for that backpack, and about a half a second gain. That backpack is I keep saying backpack, but that further pack, the second pack, is starting to gain here.
Yeah, they are, and this is a big opportunity for them. But they're gaining, but they're back to basically where they were about 25 laps ago. At that kind of 15-second mark. So hopefully for their sake, it keeps closing with Robert Hill Jr. now leading the way in this group. Trevor Elam is the one pushing, and they're, you go from this lead pack here, and if you switch to that second pack, you'll see just how more tight that second group is and how much closer they're pushing each other versus this lead group, and that's going to be the real advantage or pace differential there. But Shane Terrian's starting to push Bronson Stafford a little bit there, trying to kind of propel him forward, and that's kind of slowing down the advantage that second group's been having. So Terrian needs to stay aggressive on the bumper of Stafford, despite the fact that Terrian is a lap down.
We should be hearing shortly drivers talking about pits and talking about trying to group their packs up into going down at the same time. That time around, it was, again, about a half a second gain from that second group.
Sounded like we're going to have pits. The first group may pit next lap.
So we'll keep an eye out on this first group. Bronson Stafford leading the way. Shane Terrian, Tyler Fody, Wyatt Knadel, Chad Frankenfield, Tate Lytle, Joey Chapman. This is your lead group. Expect all of them to come down together onto pit road here. Coming off of turn number 4. And they're going to wait one more lap.
143 going to, or 144.
All right, so this should be that pit stop lap then. Wonder if that second pack who did pit a little bit earlier on that last run are going to come down this time. They're going to stay out as well. So could see the entire field coming down this next lap here, 143 heading into 144.
Yeah, as soon as the second pack started to figure out how to get up there, now they're going to have to go back down pit road, which is what caused some of them to have this issue of being in the second pack. So, unfortunately for them, it looks like they're going to have to try it one more time. Hopefully they can get it together a little bit better than the lead track. We see leaders coming down right now, as you had stated that they would be coming.
Tate Lytle just got really messed up there by the lapped car. Tate Lytle out on the racetrack on his own. He wasn't able to come down pit road.
Yeah, he's going to need a pit next time by as quick as possible and hope. Oh, we see one driver slam the pit road wall there. David with a sideways camera there caught that, as you see the second pack also coming down pit road as well.
So more or less the entire field comes down. Tate Lytle, again, just all on his own, wasn't able to get by the 06. Expect him to come down here. I wonder if he's going to drop from that lead pack here. He's driving, obviously, at a significantly slower pace than he would be if he had other cars around him. So we'll take a look now as the 56 car. You'll see him just pop up at the back of your screen there. He now drives on a pit road and misses pit road. He's onto the grass.
Yeah, one mistake leads to the other. He tried desperately to make the gains of what he lost, having to go back around one more lap, and he pushed it too far this time, and he went off into the grass. We'll have to see if that gives him a penalty, but regardless, the loss of time on pit road will be present when he comes off.
Lytle still stationary on pit road, and that, I think, is going to be his speeding penalty. So, yeah, bad to worse for Tate Lytle, and he's about to drop all those positions as Stafford, Frankenfield, Canadel, Fody all drive by Chapman. And now that group of 6 cars drops to 5 cars after this next round of pit stops.
They slowly start picking them off, but with only a 5-car pack, they are now really setting themselves up for a second pack to be able to catch them, as we do need a shout out for these top 5 drivers. Multiple pit stops, find themselves, well, we say 5 drivers in the lead. One of them's a lap down. We only have 4 drivers in the lead pack, 4 lead lap drivers in this main pack. So
yeah, Joey Chapman actually all on his own as well. So yeah, that would be kind of the guy that they dropped. So jeez, this just continues to whittle down. Again, this will all change with a caution, and suddenly we could be talking about a 20-car pack again. But as it stands right now, 4 cars realistically in that lead group, as Chapman is likely to drop pretty quickly into that second pack. He has some support from behind, but possibly or probably not enough there to stay ahead of that second group, and not enough to really catch that lead pack.
I'll give, once again, good shout out to our top 4 drivers. Through multiple pit stops, through racing incidents and everything, find themselves out front. So doing everything correct are the 4 drivers of Bronson Stafford in the 61 behind his teammate that is actually leading the pack here in the 83. Chad Frankenfield, through multiple incidents, but still finds himself in this main pack doing everything he needs to as well to be up there. Wyatt Nadel, a great story in of its own right there, being able to essentially go up against the heavy hitters like Tyler Fody and be able to get it done here so far tonight. And Tyler Fody showing that he is wanting to be the favorite, if not the overall overwhelming dominant force tonight, as Fody has very easily could be put into the list of most laps led and probably the most dominant car through the majority of this race.
Yeah, when it comes to the racing leagues, Fody's ticked just about every box there is to do, but Daytona 500 has still eluded him, and he's come close on a number of occasions, but tonight has looked like one of his best opportunities so far, as we're approaching the final 25% of this race in just 2 laps. That 40 car still in basically that final 4 that we have running right now. But again, so quickly things can change here at this racetrack. And so quickly we could be talking about a very different race here. But Again, continuing to work lapped cars here as there you see Terry and Stafford, Frankenfield, Canadal, and Fody all drive by. Car that we're on board with right now, 56 of Tate Lytle, and just how quickly the race changed for Tate Lytle there in the 56. This was the group that he was racing for the lead with just maybe 10 laps ago.
It doesn't take much, as you see. He was contending for the lead, now finds himself trying desperately to stay up with the pack, and he does so, luckily for his efforts there. But different circumstances would have put him in different spot. Unfortunately for him, he is a lap down. But right now, with the 83 being out front, he finds himself the first car 1 lap down if a caution comes out. But if no caution comes out before the end of this race, essentially his hopes of being able to claim a trophy here tonight will go out the wind.
So I wonder if you are, Joey Chapman and Shane Terry and, Bronson Stafford and Shane Terry up front, is there maybe a little internal conversation about, hey, maybe can we swap positions so if Terrian becomes the lucky dog, you trap Tate Lytle effectively and take out one of your major contenders?
Well, right now it's too difficult. To try to set that up means one of them has to go to the outside and hope that he doesn't get pushed all the way to the back of the group. I think right now you ain't worried about Tate Lytle because as it looks right now, a caution isn't present. Just keep him out front in case if a surge comes forward, he is able to work it. Have the ability to have that front pack ability to make a quick decision to jump to a different lane if it gets to that situation. So if I'm in that team order, is to keep the 83 out front because right now they're both benefiting. The 83's out front; he's technically on the lead lap, and the 61's running the getting the laps led to his name. So for right now, both of them are winners, even though one is in front of the other.
Yeah, working out well for Sky Motorsports so far. And again, this lead group right now just settling into a bit of a rhythm. Meanwhile, that second group that we mentioned, led by Robert Hill Jr., they're closing in a little bit there. Or excuse me, they're closing in on Joey Chapman, I guess, in that next pack.
Yeah, this lead pack is actually about to catch up to another 3 or 4 drivers in front of them. So they're about to gain more drivers as the backpack is still within 3 or 4 little tiny packs trying to work together. They really need to do a better job of being able to yell out for drivers to slow down so they have a bigger pack. Almost slow down to go faster a situation to fully gather a group of cars to make a run at it. But right now, no one is working well with each other enough to be able to get themselves back up to the front here. So right now, it's relegated a 4-car or 4-driver dominance at the front of the field.
Dave, is there much communication going on in driver chat between all these groups as guys are trying to merge together, or right now it's just generally silent? Guys are just kind of settling in and understanding that, okay, race is breaking down. Maybe that, all that fun chatter needs to die down at this point.
No, there's quite a bit of conversation going on with these groups of when they're going to pull in. That second group is trying to get that group of 4 not to be able to come back and get to them. Some of those other packs that are catching with the second group, they want them to tail lap. There's some historical conversation going on about Shane leading and whether or not he's supposed to let the leaders go by. They referred back to a Rockingham incident with Chad. I'm unaware of what that is, but that was a conversation for a while too. So we have a issue. Josh Robbins showing that he went around. See what happened with him.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, he got turned by Rexing.
That one's got to be a caution. That one I don't get. That's on the racing surface.
Yeah, he's sideways,
that's
almost stopped on the racing
stopped.
surface.
I didn't.
Yeah.
On Monday, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I mean, granted, there's nobody behind him anywhere close. Just
I
now
get
starting
that,
to hear
but-
people coming.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not too sure I'm a fan of that. There's I think generally I like the thought of, okay, if you're off the racing surface and you have an incident, sure, let's stay green. Let's try to avoid cautions as much as possible. What I don't love is a situation like that where you literally have a car on the racing surface, and yeah, you're not a fan.
And as much as we strive for realism, in a race, that's a caution.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna say, I mean, even the cautions where you have cars off the racetrack are cautions.
Yeah, sure.
And I can totally understand why we can get rid of that, because in iRacing you have the ability to simply press a button and reset your car back to pit road. There's no AMR safety team that has to go out onto the racetrack. But with the same token, I think any incidents, if they happen, within a certain distance of the racing surface, I think should be called a caution here in iRacing, and that's one of those things that we'll have to keep an eye out for. As hopefully we get some updates throughout this season. Update on the gap. Oh.
Yeah, I was just about to do the same. I'll let you go with it.
I was going to say update on the gap from the lead group, lead 4, back to Robert Hill Jr. as you see him on your screen. Now down to 8.8 seconds on the racetrack, and they keep closing that gap up little by little, lap by lap. It's actually 9.3, 8.8 to Tyler Fody, which is, I guess, the important one for these guys. You want to be about 0.8 of a second, I think, within to be able to really utilize the draft of the car in front of you. So that's kind of the goal that they're reaching, or they're trying to get to. We'll keep an eye out on their lap time, see if they continue to close in. That last lap actually closing a significant amount, about 0.6 of a second for this second pack. So they're very tight together, and they're working well together. As this lead pack is starting to get a little bit tighter as well, maybe starting to organize a little bit better. But that second group, very, very organized, and nobody really ducking outside, everybody within a very small distance of each other.
Yeah, to give you a thought process of the second pack, it's push. If it ends up wrecking, you weren't going to win regardless. And with the front pack, they're just trying to make sure that they don't cause a caution. So the pushing is going to be less going for the front pack. But unfortunately for the backpack, second pack. I'm going to say second pack. Second pack is that this front pack here is starting to catch another group of cars and going to add to the total amount of cars that they have in their group. So here very shortly, all that speed that second pack has been gaining will slowly start to decrease as they gain more and more in this first pack.
If Gerald says backpack a few more times, we're going to qualify as the Door of the Explorer episode, I think.
Oh, boy.
I was trying to do it, and I forgot all my Dora the Explorer comments there, so.
I only remember the map. I think that's the one that I remember, but yeah.
That the front pack now is trying to implore Bronson Stafford to now push Shane Therian, so he can get a little bit more on that second pack. They're starting to worry about that second pack now.
Yeah, I would be worried too. That gap down already a second to what it was just a few laps ago. It's big gains that second group is making. Again, another lap there, this time by a little bit less of a gain, about 3 to 4 of a second. For Robert Hill Jr. on Tyler Fody, but in general,
caution. We got a caution.
There it is.
Garrison Hogan.
Looks like the 22 around.
Okay, hold on. For the sake of consistency, how was that a caution?
I know. He slides off the racing line.
He slides immediately off the racing line. He's far gone unless he comes back onto the surface. No,
it went instantly.
Okay. It was the yellow was already out at that point.
Yeah.
Now it stopped. That was close.
And they were coming.
All right, iRacing, you've got some explaining to do on that one, I think. But I think eventually where the car ended up, I agree it should have been a caution. But if the caution was called at this point, I'm shocked.
Yeah, the caution comes out right there.
Gerald, I'm sure you've got
according
some
to the
thoughts on
timer.
that.
I don't want to comment.
Yeah, according to the timer, that's when the yellow flag came out when he was right there. Now, it is a computer. It can interpret that the future is going to bring it back to the track, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. iRacing's that advanced, they can predict where the car is going to end up.
The AI has said you're going to back on the track.
So what is a fuel lap? Like how many laps is can they hold?
I think they can do 40 if you do a heavy fuel saving, though.
Well, they're at 40 right now.
And this is how Duel 2 was decided, if you remember that race.
When they come in, they're only going to need 39, 38. They're going to get a couple under caution.
There's only 13 cars on the lead lap. Now, if wave around is a thing, well, it is a thing. If a wave around is what some of these drivers end up taking, we could have up to 22 on the lead lap, as we have a huge line of lap down cars that are still on the racetrack. But the question comes down, are those lap cars going to take the wave around? Or
they are.
Ooh. Well, no, they'll pit next time around. But the option of some of those lap down cars are going to have is, do they take the fuel knowing that they don't need to fuel up until the end of the race, or take the wave around and get yourself on the lead lap now? So a lot of those drivers are going to have some deciding to having to make before the end of this lap here when they come back around to make that decision.
Yeah. Bit of a race off pit road there. Bronson Stafford leads Chad Frankenfield. Then Tyler Fody, Wyatt Knadel. Now, of course, Robert Hill joins this group, as well as the rest of that second pack. So Hunter Smith, Joey Chapman, David Tooker, Jared Rexing, Joshua Clark, Johnny Thomas, Trevor Elam, all back in the picture here. Tate Lytle, or Trey Holmes, I believe, was in the lucky dog position, as Shane Terrian was technically a lead lap driver, as he's now classified as our leader.
Yeah, it all paid off for him. He was able to stay on the lead lap, and I'm trying to see who got the lucky dog. I think it was Trey Holmes.
I believe you're correct, yep.
So Tate Lytle, unfortunate, not able to get the lucky dog, and that's why I said it was best for them to just keep him out front, and it worked out for the 83 there.
There comes Shane Terrian, going to come down pit road, and he's very much back in contention to this race. So good strategy work there by Sky Motorsports, good communication between that team and not succumbing to the pressure, I think, in terms of Bronson Stafford to kind of try and get by his teammate there, supporting Shane Terrian until that caution came out there. So we will have, I think, on the restart, 14 cars officially classified on the lead lap. Tate Lytle will be our first car one lap down. Maybe not, actually. He took the wave around. So Tate Lytle, actually a number of these guys. Tate Lytle.
19 cars on the lead lap now.
Yeah, so Tate Lytle, Brent Jones, Garrison Hogan, Daniel Martinez, Dustin Dewar, all taking the wave around here.
They will have to
pit soon.
They'll have to pit once again. The only driver that came down pit road the second time around was Shane Therian, that had to come down regardless to get some fuel. So if it does come down to a fuel strategy, Shane Therian will have the least amount to worry than the rest of the pack. But at this point, with 19 cars in the lead lap, and a lot of them may feel comfortable with being good on fuel, I have thrown there not being another caution out the wind. I think we're definitely set up for hard racing until the end of the race here.
Is my timing and scoring glitching, or are you guys seeing Dustin Dewar has not pitted since lap 103? Because I don't believe that for a second.
No, yeah, that's what I do see.
He's in the Toyota Prius.
Yeah,
he has an electric vehicle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you had me genuinely confused for a second there, Joe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what fuel saving measures that Dewar's been going through, but yeah, I mean, for some reason there, timing and scoring on our screens, and looks like Dave shows that as well, showing his Dewar hasn't pitted since 103. I'm sure he has come down pit road, but we are back to green flag racing here now. With all these cars on the lead lap, Trey Holmes actually didn't make the green flag, and so all that work, that lucky dog situation, he's going to be furious about that, the fact that we went back to green flag racing, because he is completely separated from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, he's 10 seconds behind the pack, so he will lose the draft absolutely from that. But good battling up front here. Once again, Chad Frankenfield now not having to worry about teammates playing a factor in front of the field. Now is going to go side by side for the lead and will clear for the bottom of the track there.
Oh, turned him.
He was not clear. He decided, a couple cars turned, caution back out. That changes everything, and that will even up the field once again. Chad Frankenfield does a good job of not getting any more damage, but I believe he was not clear when he decided to come down the racetrack.
Yeah, just kind of, I wonder if we can, just back it up a little bit there. Frankenfield kind of trying to, just didn't judge the gap very well there to Stafford. I think you're not checking up there if you're Bronson Stafford. And
so would a spotter say clear at that?
At that point right there, a spotter would say clear. But
and by the time he comes down, it's not.
It's not. Yeah, the bottom lane had just hooked up and was getting a run. There was nowhere for them to go. If the 61 decided to check up, not to run into Chad, he would have been turned in front of the field. Ultimately, the decision made there saved all the vehicles involved. So I've never seen a car get as many contacts as Chad Frankenfield's car has tonight, and still looks relatively good for all the incidents he's had.
Should have a cat livery for all those lives.
He's made contact with cars, but
with
like,
everybody.
I mean, there hasn't been hard contact, but it's but yeah, he hasn't made contact with a wall or hasn't made like hard contact with a wall. I mean, that 15 car, I'm sure from this distance looks pretty much good as new. If we got up close, maybe we'd see a few dents here and there and scratches. But I mean, even from this angle here, we're pretty close. I don't see anything crazy noticeable on that 15 car.
Rish, I give you $100, but you got to sit passenger seat for Chad Frankenfield in the Super Speedway. I don't know if I would take that.
I don't think I would. That's a wild ride.
Yeah, he's been involved in quite a few things tonight, but still has a really good shot at still being able to go for a victory. He won Monday night's race, so he knows how to get it done this week. As knowing Chad Frankenfield is not going to be worried about it in the least as he continues forward.
He's certainly challenging channeling his inner Brad Keselowski, and I know Frankenfield is a big Brad Keselowski fan as well. So maybe watched that 500 and thought, yeah, that's the move. Ooh, so similar incident there. We didn't really see that. That was in kind of reaction to what happened ahead. But Robert Hill Jr. as well maybe tried to come down on Joey Chapman as well. I wonder if we can go even a little bit earlier than this to see what that looked like there. Yeah, it wasn't actually Hill coming back down. He kind of went a little bit high.
You see the smoke there from Chad going around. So
yeah, possibly just avoiding the wreck and then just caught up in a little bit of the checkup there. Sends Chapman around.
That's a new name at the front.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. We got ourselves some drivers that we haven't spoken to at all. Hunter Smith in the 17, doing a fantastic job finding himself out front in front of the field right now in the Ford.
Yeah, so Hunter Smith Yeah, I mean, an FYI for Hunter Smith's credit, that's legitimate track position. He's on the same pit strategy, no change there. That 17 car right now up front kind of got through that chaos. We'll see, of course, if he's able to maintain that pace. Had a quiet rookie season last, in 2022. Had a few pretty good runs at a couple of short tracks. I think I recall. Having a few good runs at some short tracks. I'd have to go back and look at specifically which ones before I embarrass myself, but certainly looking to make a step up here this in his second season. We'll see now what he can do at Daytona now that he has track position, which he hasn't really had all night.
Other drivers still in contention tonight that we haven't talked about, maybe just trying to hold off in the back and wait to see if they're going to still make some noise before the end of this with 32 laps to go. Some of those drivers, Johnny Thomas still back there with a good car. Brent Jones back there. Daniel Martinez back there. I believe Michael Goodman got the lucky dog. He's now back onto the lead lap there. So some drivers that we haven't talked about that still have a shot. All the that back-to-back caution definitely allowed a lot of the field to catch back up and to now be a factor going forward in this race, since we have 20 cars on the lead lap still.
Lights are out, I believe, on the pace car. Yes, they are. We've got the field 2 by 2. And we didn't actually mention Tate Lytle did get back onto the lead lap. As we are back to green flag racing through the Geico restart zone. Lap 168 ticks over to 169. And a great start for the inside lane led by Hunter Smith. Slow start for Tyler Fody, and already 3 cars in front of the outside there, as now finally outside lane starts to catch up.
Well, now there's no strategy. There's just going forward. There's just trying to make sure you are able to survive this this 30-lap shootout, essentially. There's no strategy involved. You don't need to come down pit road unless if you're wrecked. So go out there and get the lead if you can, and that's what we're seeing a lot of these drivers starting to do, starting to get back to what we saw earlier on in this race. The pushing and the shoving is starting to happen. Drivers starting to mix it up and getting out of line. But all the change from then to now is how exhausted are some of these drivers after doing this for the last few hours. Are they still going to have the mindset to go forward? As Chad Frankenfield, you don't have any doubt about that.
He went from 17 to 6th in 1.5 laps.
Not questioning his ability to get up there. We just have to see if he's able to still have a car. But when he gets done, I think they told him, steering wheel or not, you need to go ahead and get to the front.
I was going to say, Chad Frankenfield may be very aggressive, but you certainly can't argue with the results that he gets from his methods, especially at these super speedway races. That 15 car knows how to move up the order very, very quickly, and already back in a position to attack moving forward. So keep an eye out for him. We got to keep like a little flag on that 15 car, so we've always got an eye on it. But either way, still 2 by 2, and I think we're going to see 2 by 2 for the rest of this race here. Because at this point in the race, there's no fuel save. There's nothing, like you were saying, Gerald, and it's just going to be defending and attacking for positions. Look out. There you see those 3 Toyotas lined up on that outside lane, All Sky Motorsports. That's got to worry you a little bit, and Tyler Fody knows how strong that is, and he goes up to defend that line as Terrian.
Oh, he drove down there. I didn't think he had it cleared, and he drove down there so fast that he was able to get clear. Still finds himself not in the lead of the bottom lane, but you're seeing a lot of aggressive driving going forward, and I'm enjoying it from here.
Little rough bump there with Chad and Tate back there.
Okay, we need new news. That sounds like old.
Sorry. I'm just copying and pasting. Just copying and pasting.
Oh, here goes Tate into that inside line or the middle there as Rexen kind of gets left out to dry there as everybody follows Tate Lytle.
Yeah. Oh, 33. Oh, almost got into the side of the 10. But that's Daniel Martinez starting to work his way up. Oh, he gets a little bit more contact with Shane Therian as they are still making some contact back there. And they are scattering. Three wide in some areas, and I have really no idea who's side by side with who, as they are all scattering for fourth on back.
Somehow they perfectly shuffled back into 2x2 as soon as they got out of the tri-oval as well. Look at that. Just gorgeous. And then through the tri-oval, they're 3 wide.
Yeah, they're about to see if they can swallow back up this 3-car pack that formed in the front. Bronson Stafford, Trevor Elam, and Tyler Fody, as they very quickly, just in a straightaway distance, caught right back up to that 3-car pack.
Fody taking over that outside lane, yeah.
Yeah, this is about the point in time where you have to remind yourself you need to breathe, because right now it's mostly puckering as you eat your underwear as you go around here and make these tight maneuvers. But right now we are seeing just a drive from Tate Lytle there on that outside behind Fody, working his way back up from there. Made mistakes earlier on, trying to correct it now to get himself back out front.
Huge work, huge run by that outside lane. They just, what is that, 5 cars in front of the inside there, all along that back straightaway? Unbelievable run that they were able to get.
We'll see if any of them duck down low. Where is? Looks like Chad Frankenfield decided very quickly he was going to go down to the bottom. We'll find out if he's got any helpers. It looks like maybe the 84 decided to duck down there with him, see if they can be able to get that bottom lane thriving once again on the trying to catch back up to that front pack on the top. Hard shoving up in the front right there as you see Tate Lytle right on the back bumper of the 40. He is doing a fantastic job pushing him and getting off his bumper in the middle of the turns, with Jared Rexing also right behind him. A good cast of characters that without those cautions would not have had a shot at this, and are trying to make up for not having any excitement for the last 50 laps, or trying to get it all done here in the last 5. So right now, hard racing, but the outside lane still doing a phenomenal job of keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, now they're getting all the way up to that wall now. You're starting to see them migrate really high up on the racetrack. We were talking about them kind of having an intermediate line even on that higher lane. Just through 1 and 2 there, they were about as close to the wall as you can get, maybe about half a lane off still, but they're really starting to get up there. And there you see again, all the way up, Tyler Fody leading this field right along the outside wall here at Daytona.
I have to fulfill my Alex flip mode and have to tell you it's 25 to go. We just kicked down.
Boy. 25 to go.
That means we have to make our picks.
Oh, is that what the rule is?
Oh yeah. Second that ticker ticks over and you don't see a total lap counter, and we got 24 now to go. Time for.
I'm gonna take Trevor Elam.
That's a good.
I'm gonna tempt fate here, and I'm gonna take Tate Lytle.
Oh, I thought you were gonna pick Chad for.
Honestly, it could be. I'm going to say that history tells us there's no repeat winner so far at the Daytona 500 here in the Elite Racing Leagues, and there won't be this season.
Well, we'll have to see. If you have a driver that you think might have this in the bag, go ahead and put it down into the chat. We do love to read them. We will do shout-outs if we see a driver that maybe we haven't spoken about. Put your driver down in the chat. I see we have quite a few people watching in right now. We appreciate it, but we love to be able to hear your thoughts as here we come to 23 laps to go. It's been a few hours going on now, and it's coming down. Within the next 20 minutes here, we will have ourselves a Daytona champion.
Yeah, this is where it's really crunch time for these drivers. Everything that you've worked on up to this point in the race, all the kind of practice and moves that you've planned out, this is where you have to actually execute. But right now, we're just a little bit too early. With this type of racing as well, there's still so much that can happen in 23 laps. realistically, I mean, we've often seen moves here coming out of the final corner on the last lap, right? You just need to make sure you're in the right position, and still a lot of the mindset is going to be getting in that position, kind of being within that top group of cars. You want to be in kind of this breakaway, or at least at the front of that next pack that's coming up here, to really be in the ideal spot to make a move for the win here. But again, a caution can change so much. A bad bump can change so much. There's still so much to pay for.
A few people in chat, a couple of them said Wyatt Nadel in the 84 having probably an elite career race right now, doing a very good job, been running in the top 10 for the majority of this race. So a good shout out for Nadel and a good run for him. It'd be such a good story for a driver like him to be able to come here, because not only does it get you a Daytona win, but I believe that locks you into the chase as well.
In the Cup Series, at least, I know it's not going to be a win and locked in. But it gives you...
We see a few cars in the wall, a few cars more starting to hit the apron there. Looks like is still
91 Johnny Thomas.
They haven't
no yellow
hitting each other.
No yellow, of course.
No yellow.
Yeah, we see a couple cars lose their hood there. Goodman has completely lost his, as he got into I believe another driver. I believe the 83 is Shane Therian is the one that absolutely slammed the outside wall.
Ooh, who is that?
Trey Holmes.
That's the 88, Trey Holmes. Yep. Also saw Johnny Thomas dive to the below the yellow line there as well, as Holmes looks like he just has major internet issue there almost. Kind of sends him off onto the grass. Can't see too much there as we checked out the Whiskey Cast replay there. Some cars with damage, but we stay green for now. And the race continues up front. This lead pack, though, becomes a little bit smaller.
Yeah, down to 13 now. 13 cars on the lead lap. Brent Jones, the last of them on the lead lap. He's close to losing the lead draft there all the way back there, but he might hold on, as we still have a group of cars still in contention here.
Yeah, Jones should be just barely close enough, I think, to still be getting the benefit of the draft here. We'll see if he can close back in. Otherwise, he might be just outside of that group. But if he can get back in, that brings him back into contention. Otherwise, it could be a very swift fall for the 89 car there. But yeah, here we go again. 40 and 56 hooking up, and again, a lot of respect between these two guys. They've raced for a lot of wins in the past. They've raced each other hard and fair before, and continuing to do so here today. And right now, it's Tate Lytle just continuing to give the bump to the 40 car, continuing to try to make it basically just these two guys in up front here, leading this outside lane.
It looks like Brent Jones will lose the lead pack, so that will put us down to only 12 cars on the lead lap draft here. So 12 cars in this main draft with 18 laps to go. That is that will go by in a very quick session, as these drivers will start to get more and more aggressive with their bump drafting.
Bottom lane, you see two of those Sky Motorsports cars hooked up, the 60 and 61, Joey Chapman, Bronson Stafford, as we get news on the 8 car being retired for the night. But again, just not enough cars. Everybody migrating to this top lane now. Just 4 cars there right now running the bottom, and it's those 2 Sky Motorsports cars. I think the 06 of Cole Snyder, who's a lap down, and I can't quite see who's behind him either, but one way or the other, that might be Wyatt Canadal actually, but one way or the other, they need numbers to appear here on this bottom lane as they go by. I wonder if they'll get Hunter Smith or Chad Frankenfield to dive down. They might try to create some kind of opportunity here if it kind of comes up to them, because they're separated on the bottom. Yeah.
They were lobbying Chad to come down with them, but Chad said he's in the line that needs to be in for now. So,
all right, interesting. So everybody, again, thinking that long term here, as we now have 16 laps to go in this race. You're all thinking about the end game right now, setting yourself up, putting yourself in the right position here for that final lap.
I'm not sure if I would like where Fody would be at. It's much different than how we would normally see a normal Daytona or Talladega race. Usually, the bottom lane is the one that is the lead pack or the lead drafting line. This time around, we're seeing the high lane. But the only issue I have with that is that whenever they decide to go down low, and they will all decide together, whoever gets stuck on that outside lane will absolutely fall all the way to the back of the pack. The issue with it before was when you were on the bottom, a few cars would jump in front of you on the outside and then relegate themselves back to the bottom. I'm not sure if we'll see that. So if I'm Fody, I am watching my rear view mirror way more than I would if I was watching the front, because he has to make a very quick maneuver if he's going to get down to the bottom, or he will find himself really far behind the pack in a quick manner.
This will be an important couple of laps here. Or a 17 car goes around.
And through the pit road there, it looked like he tried clearing himself down there and drove through the grass. He will get a penalty for that. He will probably have to come back down to serve a pass-through. So unfortunate for the 17, Hunter Smith, who had done a really good job up until that point of just staying within contention. Now will find himself outside of the lead draft and possibly a lap down once he serves his penalty.
They're clearing his black flag.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, still unfortunate, obviously, for Hunter Smith. He was having a very good run there, and again, this lead group continues to whittle down. Now 11 drivers left in it. And those drivers, we can run through them very quickly. Tyler Fody, Tate Lytle, Jared Rexing, Trevor Elam, Bronson Stafford, Daniel Martinez, Joey Chapman, David Tooker, Joshua Clark, Wyatt Knadel, and Chad Frankenfield. This lead group of 11 cars, and there's about 11 seconds back then to Dustin Dewar in that second group there, as Michael Goodman gets a tally issue. That might have been for that issue that we saw that kind of caused the separation in the two packs.
Yeah, I think that was back on lap 180.
You talked about Sky Motorsport being strong with a few drivers up there and everything, but go figure, there's a bunch of Pro Edge cars still involved in this thing, and they're still in this lead pack, as I count 3 of them still within the top 10. So Pro Edge, which everyone jokes that is half the field at some points, but they are all still within reaching distance of teaming up together before the end of this.
I was going to say, if you take a random sample of the field, there's a pretty good chance that 50% of those cars will be Pro Edge cars or Pro Edge affiliated. But yeah, no, I mean, they're having a great run. And another one of those teams, I think that always works well at super speedways, because they communicate very well with each other. And that's always the key there. So we'll see. I mean, Tate Lytle, we're not kind of the missing one, right? Is Matthew Weeks there? David Tooker as well. Is in this pack, but he has some damage. I don't know how effective he'll be moving forward, but Weeks is normally kind of especially the lead guy for Pro Edge at super speedways. But yeah, basically that entire team except for the 11.
Weeks is leading the space program from earlier on in the race as he went flying. But what we did see is the outside lane get checked up just a little bit and allow that inside lane to now start to get a little bit of a run going themselves, as they have started to catch up to Fody on to battling for the lead here.
Looks like Chad's now decided the bottom lane's where he needs to be.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that 5th car in the bottom lane there. But again, you've got to get by those 3 Toyotas all hooked up in a line, all Sky Motorsports. And technically 4, actually, I think, because behind them. No, that is Wyatt Knadel. But yeah, I mean, if they're controlling that bottom lane, then I think Canadal and Chatter might have to make it 3 wide or try that top, because I don't see those 3 disconnecting anytime soon. Remember, last season's Daytona 500, it was Shane Terrian refusing to get off the bumper of Nick Massey and saying, "Hey, I am pure, and I'm just going to push Nick Massey to that win," and it actually is Nick Massey.
Yeah, Tate goes down. This is going to be the deciding factor. Are they going to leave Fody out? No, it looks like Tate Lytle may have timed that incorrectly. It was the bottom lanes really checking up. He's going to lose a few positions. I think it was a mistake by Tate Lytle to go down so early. He should have done it when the bottom lane was fully checked up and out of the area, and maybe drag a few of the top to go down with him. But unfortunately, Tate Lytle will lose his front-running position. Now Tyler Fody will have Jared Rexen and Trevor Elam behind him.
Remember what Elam said coming out of the duels, that he would race the 500 a lot differently than he raced the duels. I think he was being nice toward the end and not turning somebody, so I think he's going to go for it no matter what, coming down to the end.
Yeah, Elam had I think he did he win the trucks race, was it? Earlier this week?
Yes, he did, actually.
Yeah. So he's had success already here during speed weeks, and has had a fantastic car. Really all race long has been competitive. And now he sits third in line there on the outside with an opportunity with 8 to go.
Well, if you're sitting here watching us, folks, we're about to start getting pumped up. We're getting more and more excited as the laps are ticking down. Who will become our Daytona champion? Who will have the bragging rights until the next time we come back to Daytona? We all know it means so much to come here and be a victor. We're about to crown another racing champion here at Daytona. And coming back around this time, we will have 7 laps to decide it. After 193 laps, we have now come down to 7 laps to come and figure out this race result. In less than 5 minutes, hopefully, unless if there's a caution, we will have ourselves a winner, and we'll have a victor in one of these top 11 drivers.
Yeah, you can see that whole pack all together, and this is great to have a number of options to choose from. And what's great to see as well is these drivers have lanes to pick as well. You can make different lanes work here. That bottom line, I think we're going to see more guys start to file down there, try to make it happen. Because that's going to be your best bet at this point. You're not going to gain anything at this point in the race by just sitting in line in that outside lane. And there you go. We got a driver already diving to the middle. Is that Frankenfield? I think it is.
Of course it is.
He's in the middle. If he can find a way around, you don't give him the spot. I was surprised when Tate Lytle went down. Pro Edge didn't go down there with him. But unfortunately for Chad Frankenfield, no help. Ends up slowing down that top lane just a little bit and unable to gain any positions from that, as we still try to figure out who's going to be the leader of each line when it comes down to it. We're still not certain if there's not going to be a wreck between these drivers, as they will slowly start to trickle, getting closer together as the pushing and the shoving starts to intensify.
Yeah, I was going to say, fantastic connection there between Jared Rexing and Tyler Fody down that back straightaway. That's obviously going to hurt them a little bit here coming back, but I don't know if Elam's going to make that move just yet, especially with so little support on the bottom lane. But useful to keep in mind. I mean, for those two, how long will they stay connected? Ethan Burrell in the comments on YouTube predicted that maybe the 56 and 40 would stay connected to the last lap. Lytle ended up trying to make that move down low, didn't work out. But does the 10 now stay with the 40 car until that last lap before diving down to try and make a move? So keep an eye on those guys. They've been working very well together these past couple of laps.
Yeah, one thing Tate Lytle's maneuver did do is it did get him closer to David Tooker, his teammate. So you know that they're keeping in contact. They will probably both make the move at the same time. Chad Frankenfield's not following any rule sets by any of these drivers. He reminds me of Denny Hamlin, just trying to do anything possible to get out to the front in one of these Daytona races. Hates to stay in line, and you see that there. It continues to cost him, though, as every time he makes a maneuver, he loses another from that same maneuver.
Yeah, this to me is starting to feel like, oh, actually,
There
I
goes Trevor
take
Elam.
back exactly what I was going to say. Elam with the big move. He's got the support from the 56, and they're
Uh-oh.
going to thread the needle.
Tate Lytle on the wall. Tate Lytle into the wall, tried to get squeezed in front of the 10 car, turns himself around and into the outside wall going down the back straightaway.
It's time for NASCAR overtime, baby. Let's do this. But here we go. A 10 car 56. I was just going to say they were threading the needle so well. Through this traffic, because you had Fody down low, you had Rexing up high. Tate Lytle just
He's saying he didn't change line.
Well, there was a car in that line, and somehow you ended in that line. But regardless, we'll see how they scored that. But unfortunately for Tate Lytle, little mistakes here and there has taken away another chance at a super speedway victory.
Yeah, that's consistent from race control, from what we've seen so far this race there. So no tally issued. I can certainly see how that would be, especially with how we've seen calls go so far. I can see how that would be a racing deal there. But yeah, I mean, here we go. And we've been talking about handling all night. With 11 cars, really, or I guess maybe it's a little bit more than that now that we've got this pack all back together, isn't it? I was going to say, if it was only 11 cars, do you maybe take tires for that slight handling advantage? Or do you stay out on the racetrack? I wonder what guys are going to do. We have a couple of takers on pit road as we watch this replay here. Jared Rexing, Josh Clark, Shane Terrian, all coming down pit road here. Take a look from Jared Rexing point of view. It did look like the 10 car came a little bit off the wall as well, but you definitely probably put that more so on the 56.
Yeah, luckily for Jared Rexing, he is still going to have a car, but unfortunately, leading a pack is going to be very difficult with the amount of damage underneath him. But when it comes to Daytona, and there's only a few cars still on the lead lap, he still has a fairly decent chance of having a good finish here tonight.
I was going to say, fortunately, you don't really need to lead too many laps. You just need to lead off of turn 4 or even into the tri-oval, really. So it's certainly not out of the question there. But yeah, I mean, this shakes things up at the front without a doubt. Trevor Elam, now your race leader with Tyler Fody, Daniel Martinez, David Tooker, Joey Chapman, Wyatt Canado, Bronson Stafford, Chad Frankenfield, your top 8. And then you have 2 Do Good Motorsports cars in the top 10, Dustin Dewar, Michael Goodman.
Goodman's got a lot of damage, though. Goodman's got a lot.
There's a few cars in here with some damage. I think even a little bit to the 32. Dewar's probably in good enough shape where he can still run, and the car behind Michael Goodman, Brent Jones there, also seems to be in reasonable shape. But the rest of the cars in front there all seem to be relatively well put together for this restart here. As we'll see if Tate Lytle's day is over, if he's going to try and make it off of pit road here before.
That's kind of been the story tonight. I don't really know if I've seen maybe 1 or 2 cars with a clean car. I think you'd have a better or easier time finding a clean car on the free page of Craigslist Marketplace, but there's just a ton of cars out there with just damage just somewhere on the vehicle from incidents. I would say really only Tyler Fody might be the only car that has not been involved in at least a incident.
Michael Goodman's sponsor is not very happy right now. He is missing his entire hood there.
That's a Chevy. It's a Chevy sponsor.
Great airflow to the engine, though.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, overtime. Here we go. We will have 3 overtime or green-white checker attempts, as we have been doing since, I believe, last season was when we introduced this new rule. So we'll see. Basically, once the white flag waves, though, it'll be next flag calls it. And as we saw in one of our duels, is even if there is a pretty massive pileup heading into turn number 1, we'll do whatever we can to race to the finish. So the biggest thing is just completing that first lap.
one thing to note is Trevor Elam decided to take the high side. He was the leader, and he chose the high side to have David Tooker behind him. So you might want to watch and see if maybe they team that up and get that restart going on that high side fairly quickly.
Well, we'll see how it breaks down. We could see just 2 more laps in this 7th running of the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500. Could we see another caution, another restart for all these guys to go through? But we're going to go through the first green-white checker attempt right now through the Geico restart zone. 2 laps to go. Trevor Elam leads this field back to green flag. Strong start for the outside lane. They're not too hooked up, though, between the 19 and the 29, and that's going to leave an opening now for Tyler Fody and Daniel Martinez to make a move on the bottom. But Trevor Elam does a good job at blocking off any kind of run that they can make, and now it's David Tooker leading that outside line.
Oh, Trevor Elam undecided right there. Decided to try to take the high side. Came back down, and as it caused a checkup on the bottom lane, that will surge that outside lane. Going into this contact, Michael Goodman's involved. A few others. They're going to slide back up the racetrack. The 2, it's still green. They're still wrecking. Caution will come out as Michael Goodman slams the wall. Oh, his teammate, the 3, hit him head on. And that, if it didn't damage his car enough hitting the wall, that ended Michael Goodman's night completely.
Yeah, there's smoke coming out of that 44 car, and here you go. This is where it really kind of comes, that 44 cutting across the track. I think we also saw the 2 car cutting across the track with some pretty bad, but it all just kind of comes from that check up there on the bottom lane. The 33, the 60 all kind of get together. And then it looks like the 2 just nabs the 44. The 44 comes down on the 2. And they all go spinning down onto the grass. 44 keeps rolling in the same direction, hits the 06, Cole Snyder.
And then here comes the 3. Oh, no. You play the Jaw theme song with the 3 car there, and that would work out perfectly.
See the wreck happen in front from Cole Snyder. You think, man, that's terrible for those guys, but I'm through it. That's fine. And then all of a sudden, there's the 44 and nowhere to go for Snyder.
Oh, man, just seeing that in the rearview mirror. Let's go on board with the 3 there, just because that was a hard lick. If you had your force feedback up all the way, that would have knocked it out of your hands for sure.
Oh, boy, here we go. 3, around he goes. Yikes.
Surprised it's still going straight.
Yeah, I was going to say, so 44 car, 2 car, 3 car, 06, all involved in that incident. Not sure if 60 car as well. Joey Chapman, one of our leaders, of course, for the large portion of the second half of this race, also out of that one.
Well, sounds like we have a new variable, guys. They are not sure they have enough fuel.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Because 161 is where Fody came in. So that would put us 201. We're now at, 202 with 3 to go?
So does this give an advantage to the guys like Canadal, Elam, Martinez, who all put it on lap 166, and then you have Rexing, who put it on 198, who might be... Rexing put it on 198, so he just pitted.
Yeah, it sounds like the 166s are okay. It's the 161s that might be a little short.
All right, so that's Tooker, Frankenfield, Fody, Stafford, Clark, all at risk right now of potentially running out of fuel here if we see another green-white checker. Is that right? Or is it on this green-white checker?
On this one. I mean, we're already at 203 laps. So it's now been 41 since the last.
Only one driver looks concerned, and that's Chad Frankenfield running on the bottom of the track there. You would think if Tooker was anywhere concerned on fuel, he'd be running down lower. Really, the only driver I see down there that has any concerns is Chad Frankenfield. All the others don't seem to be too concerned with how they're going around the racetrack.
I guess if you were really concerned about it on this one, you'd probably, I don't know, stop.
Yeah, unless you're kind of going all or nothing here. But
we have
honestly,
2 more to burn.
I'd take. I was gonna say I'd take the fuel on this one and probably even tires as well, and just try to be. I mean, Chad Frankenfield we know can move forward quickly. So if there is a fuel risk, a little bit surprising that he chose to ignore that. But obviously that track position also very important here with this few laps to go. But yeah, this could come back to bite all these guys who are staying out here. They're I'm sure they're trying as best as they can to shut off that engine and roll. But I don't know if you can do that in these next gen cars here with the new shifter and everything.
Well, once Goodman goes down pit road and ends his night, which he will have to, his car is about to explode, there will only be 15 cars on the lead lap. How many of those are still competitive is unknown, just for the mere fact that about all of them could be destroyed, and we couldn't tell the difference just because the draft has allowed them to stay up fairly close up there. But once again, the leader has chosen the outside lane. And more importantly, the leader has chosen Chad Frankenfield to push him. So we'll see how that plays out for Tooker, as he's going to have, as we have seen multiple occasions tonight, Chad Frankenfield is going to push with everything his car can give him. So as the pace car comes down off the racetrack, we will see if this will be the final run to the end.
Yes, we will, and David Tooker will lead this field back to green flag racing for our second green-white checker attempt. 2 laps to go, maybe, and Chad Frankenfield wastes no time. He moved to the outside of the 19 anyways, but now 19, 84, 29, all hooked up on the bottom, while Chad Frankenfield has to wait for the 33 car to get to him. Now, finally, Daniel Martinez hooks up, and now that outside lane starts to push forward. So, advantage Frankenfield, advantage Martinez, as now Frankenfield goes down to block that bottom lane, and guys shuffling right now down this back straightaway. But Frankenfield in a great position here. Michael Daniel Martinez as well in a great spot as Fody goes around.
Fody goes around there. We'll see. That's not going to cause a caution, but there's still heavy drafting up at the front. Oh, there's another wreck! Trevor Elon around, a few cars, there's 3 or 4 hitting the wall hard. We are not anywhere close to finishing this, as it looks like about 4 cars have hit the wall extremely hard now. And that will help Fody tremendously.
Well, it'll help Fody, but he was also, I think, one of those drivers who was in that kind of slightly on the edge in terms of fuel here, but we'll take a look at this replay.
He's already in the back. Yeah, he's going to get fuel, but yeah, just a lot of checking up, a lot of moving, and inches is what caused that wreck, is just moving around with only inches to spare, and just a one misjudge is all it took for them to pile up. Now the question comes down, Chad Frankenfield, who's in second, was extremely close. He is more than likely going to have to come down pit road. Fody was already back there after spinning, and with that wreck causing about 4 or 5 cars going to have to come down pit road with him, I'm not sure Fody is really in a bad position. He's going to come down and get fuel, but Chad Frankenfield was the first one to get on the radio and voice his displeasure at another caution.
So one more thing to note here, as we will see some cars come down pit road, but on this restart, this will be the last restart no matter what. So if it ends in a caution, it ends in a caution. And if we get to the checkered flag, we get to the checkered flag, but there will be no restarts after this. So I mean, it's basically all or nothing for these guys. You're not waiting for that caution. You're not waiting for another attempt. It's going to be all out on the line. If guys are crashing, into turn number 1, we could have this race over very shortly.
In theory, could you cause a caution on the first lap if you knew you were short on fuel and it's going to freeze the field at wherever you were?
The Kevin Harvick strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick did that to stay in the chase at Talladega when he was nowhere near going to be able to make it in on where he was going to finish if it had gone green, and caused a caution there. But if you ask him, that wasn't what happened. But that's what happened. So will we see that? I don't believe so. But we'll just have to pay attention to how some of these drivers. Jared Rexing, I didn't think he'd still be up there with some damage, but he is still going to have a chance at trying to get the win here tonight. Now, if I'm correct here, I think Chad's the only one that has won a Daytona race in the top 10. Is that correct?
You would be correct. Yeah, I mean, he's basically the only. Him and Johnny Thomas are the only two drivers, even on the lead lap, who have won a Daytona race before. With Nick Massey out, you have who else do we have there? You have Andrew Rucker out, and of course you have Matthew Weeks out. Those are the other three. And then you have Johnny Thomas, Chad Frankenfield, and Kendall Noah Players are sixth previous winner, but he's not racing tonight. So yeah.
So we
Frankenfield and
there's a good shot of us having a new winner here with Chad Frankenfield very, very, very low on fuel. We'll have to see if he can even make it around. We may have ourselves a new Daytona winner, which would just kind of solidify how difficult it is to win these Daytona 500s, as so far we haven't had a repeat winner.
So I forget who you picked, Dave, but are all
Trevor
of our picks
Elam.
out?
Yeah, mine's gone.
So all of our picks.
Mine's still in it.
Who'd you pick?
He's got ninth.
Okay, yeah. Fody's in ninth. Okay, that's fair. He's still in it.
You picked Chad Frankenfield.
No, I didn't pick Chad. I picked Tate. That also didn't work too well for me.
I think the spotter told Chad to go ahead and hit the pace car because he just went up there and tapped it a little bit. So he's just getting some Days of Thunder inspiration going for him.
Chad hadn't hit another car for a little while, so he was just getting a little bored.
He says he's really low on fuel.
Oh boy. And he's leading that outside lane, which could potentially lead to some chaos.
He says it's sputtering. Why would you stay out?
He said he's going to go high when it starts sputtering.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
We may not see a checkered flag here, folks.
He has
0.7
fuel.
I'm shocked.
That's not going to get him back around.
He's not going to make it out of turn 2.
No, he's not. Like 0.7. Why? Why not come down the road?
If there are any Uber drivers listening, Chad's going to need a ride.
Let's see his best Kevin Harvick impression here.
Oh boy. Yeah, this could be a restart and a half, but here we go for the final time tonight. Guaranteed, pace car leaves onto pit road into the Geico restart zone, and Michael Daniel Martinez will lead this field back to green. Chad Frankenfield on fumes is going to try to lead that outside lane. Already we have cars spinning around, just waiting for that caution. Does it come out? Not quite yet. It's Michael Daniel Martinez leading that inside lane. Chad Frankenfield still holding on, but for how long can he make it to a caution flag if it comes out? Right now, it's advantage inside lane, and nobody is supporting that 15 car on the outside. 33 right now continues to lead. Is David Tooker going to leave him at some point? He might have to, but right now everybody in line on the bottom, and I think the 15 might have finally sputtered there. Tyler Fody looks to the outside as they head through 3 and 4.
He's out of fuel.
Chad Frankenfield has just announced he's out of fuel. So here will come. Once we get the white flag, no matter what happens, are we going to get the white flag? Yeah, we will. We will get the white flag, but that has spaced the leader out, not to his benefit, I don't believe, as he will have a huge distance between him and second place. We'll see if that's going to allow any of these to be able to make a move on him coming to the back straightaway.
Yeah, here we go. David Tooker on the outside with an opportunity to make a move. How about this from Do Good Motorsports? You've got Dustin Dewar and Brent Jones both in contention there on the bottom line. Tooker is going to defend. Tyler Fody sends him around. They're going to keep going, trying to get back to the green flag. Tooker around on the back straightaway. Martinez continues to lead here. Dustin Dewar looking to the bottom. Tyler Fody looking to the top side. Martinez all alone. He's going to have to try and defend. Fody, no front bumper there, but he's on the outside. He's got the run. Martinez goes around. He takes out the 61 of Bronson Stafford with him. Fody all alone heading across the start-finish line. We've lost sight of him. Fody wins the Daytona 500 with no front bumper. Dustin Dewar second. Brent Jones in third. What a finish.
Wow.
And to top it off, even the leader or even the winner of the race did not have a front bumper. That just goes to show you what kind of race this was. That is your winner right there. And to be fair, I don't know if there's another car in the field that even has a better looking car than that one. So to his benefit, that's all you need to win it here at Daytona. And he does so making a move around the outside in 3 and 4 to pass for the win.
Oh my gosh, look at that. I mean, there was a shot right there for the 61 of Stafford to get by Fody, and then there you see gets hit by the 33, and Fody then all clear to go to the finish. Again, shout out to Dustin Dewar, Brent Jones as well, but Tyler Fody, just another check, another checkbox right there filled out for the driver of the number 40 car. He continues to impress, and you certainly cannot. That was probably the best car all day long. So this is, an incredible win there for Tyler Fody, and he's going to burn it down, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy this. I remember speaking to him a few seasons back about how he had always just been so close at Daytona, but so close no longer for Tyler Fody. He's now officially the winner of the 7th running of the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500. Look at that. That car is destroyed, but that's going to be, that image right there is going to be in a Lake Norman Motorsports Museum, I'm sure.
Maybe also with the call that you guys counted him out. Even right when we go green there,
right.
You guys had literally just said everyone's wrecked out that we had talked about. And I put my name out. No, Fody still got a chance. Fody's still out there. You counted him out when he got spun around. But no, Fody is not the one to give up there. Even with a car, even being hit into the wall, literally the lap prior to the white flag, he got slammed into the outside wall, did not give up, kept it going straight without a front bumper, and was able to do just enough to get his car to the outside and clear to be able to essentially have it all to himself coming out of turn 4. Everyone behind him wrecking or checking up, and that's all he needed. He did not have a car that could lead after having that bumper knocked out, but he had enough of a car to survive to be able to win it here in the World Center of Racing.
Man, yeah, just an incredible race there. A bit chaotic there at the finish there. Obviously, utilizing all 3 green-white checkers resulted in something pretty crazy. And I guess for that finish, I guess we'll say thanks, Iracing, for not throwing the caution, because it allowed us to race all the way to the checkered flag. But my, oh my. There's a lot to unpack, I think, in those final couple of laps there, and unfortunate to see so many cars taken out on those last couple of laps. But yeah, Tyler Fody, and then of course Dustin Dewar, Brent Jones coming and filling out that podium there. Robert Hill Jr., how about that? His first Daytona 500 start for 21 Savage Autosports, is going to finish 4th there. Joshua Clark, the first of the Pro Edge Racing Toyotas, then finishing 5th place.
And what Chad's going to have to wonder, what if he finishes 12th there? If he had taken fuel, he would have been right there with Tyler Fody. And you saw Tyler Fody still had a shot of it, with him being able to come down pit road and take on fuel after being spun there. But 12 cars is all we had on the lead lap here to finish it. I don't know if I would have thought it was going to be that big of a wreck fest tonight. But it wasn't like one humongous wreck. It just was 3, 4, 5, 6,
and there, yeah,
all the way through. Just every so often, nicking away and taking away 1, 2, 3 cars every so often, and it left us with a shamble of cars that we're lucky to still be running, I think, at the end of it.
Yeah, and we'll talk to the man who led that group of cars to the finish line there, and for the first time, Daytona 500 winner Tyler Fody. Man, I've talked to you before about how close you felt you've been to these wins in the past, but now to finally grab it with both hands and an absolute race of attrition there. Just talk us through your emotions right now, Tyler.
Oh, unbelievable, dude. I can't even put into words right now how long I've been trying to get this race. Maybe even bigger than some of the titles, honestly, with how much this race means. Gosh, I don't know. There were so many moments where we thought we lost it, and then we were back in it, and then we lost it again. Just crazy. Those last 10 laps with all the restarts and running out of gas. I was basically out of gas when I got spun for that second green-white checkered. So, I mean, we just came in, put tires on it, put fuel back in it, and we're 10th on that restart, and just by some miracle. Saw Chad running out of gas, moved up. Tooker gave me a good shot into the wall coming to the white, that's for sure, but we stayed in it, kept driving, got into Tooker again, and yeah, just limped the thing home. I can't believe it.
Well, Fody, I will say we all made picks around 25 laps in. I picked you. And even with your spin out, I will happy to say, and you can rewatch it, I still stuck by my pick that you would be able to come back there. Now, you did it a little bit harder with no front bumper on the car. Probably the worst looking Daytona finisher or winner to date. Definitely not a car that you could reuse after leaving here, but it was enough. Did you know that the front bumper was off? Could you feel the effect that it was having on the car? You only had a lap to really figure it out, and I'm sure your mind wasn't really set on that. But what did you kind of have an idea of what you have of a car left when you came across the finish line?
I had an idea. We had one of the cleanest cars till that second to last green, white checkered. Even after spinning, I didn't even have any damage. So, I mean, just all race being able to keep the car clean, and then looking around me at that last restart when I was back in 10th, and Chris Wright and Josh Robin were up spotting for me, so huge props to them. But they were letting me know that everyone up there had some form of damage and that I'd be the quickest. So even after getting the damage, I didn't have time to feel if it was slower, but I could just see around me that everyone was in a similar boat at least, so I wasn't totally off the pace. I didn't know the bumper was gone, though. I was trying to stay in the draft and just work with everybody, and we had just enough there in the end.
Dave?
Well, Tyler, we had a chance to talk before the race, and I told you I was pulling for you and Chris, so one of us got to be here tonight. So I was probably pretty excited for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Any shout-outs you want to give to all your people?
Well, I got to shout out you and Gerald, I guess, now for picking me there. It must have been what the luck was there on the last restart.
Well, on the air, I picked Elam, so I can't completely say I picked you.
I'll still give you some credit. Behind the scenes, before it started, we were talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, as always, Blue Egg Marketing, always been on the Cup car since I started. So this has been one that I've definitely wanted to get for them. So yeah, definitely check out Blue Egg Marketing. Gosh, I got to shout out the whole Lake Norman team, Josh Robin and Chris Wright for running this race. We were all up there, give or take, at one point or another, and they just ran into some trouble. But they stuck with me on the box the whole way, and were keeping me calm, keeping me up to date with the strategy. So huge shout out to them. Shout out to you guys, obviously. Shout out to the family members back home, my dad, my Uncle Chris, my Aunt Robin, for watching. I also got to shout out Alex Ned, who y'all all know. I heard he's been making some strides and is getting better. So if he's watching, I just want him to know that we're all praying for him and hoping that he makes a speedy recovery. And yeah, now I guess we got to go celebrate this thing and get after it next week.
All right, well, congratulations there, Tyler Fody, Daytona 500 champion. That's got to have a nice ring to it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, race winner then, Tyler Fody. He's certainly going to be celebrating tonight, but let's not forget our podium finishers either as we head down now to our second place finisher there. He sang us the anthem to start the night, and he finishes it off with a second place finish. Dustin Dewar. Dusty, congratulations, man. It always seems like you put your best foot forward when we come to Daytona, and you certainly did here tonight. Talk us through the attrition race that we saw, I think, throughout the night, and then just that finish, making it through, some of those cars wrecking out there and putting together a fantastic result. There was a moment there, especially on that last green-white checker, that looked like you might have even been able to grab the win.
Yeah, I thought I had a chance there on that last lap, but first of all, I'm sorry. I caused some of that carnage tonight earlier in that race. Really sorry about that, but I'm happy to take second. It's one of the craziest second place finishes I've ever had. That race, those last few laps were just outrageously crazy. It was fun to drive through. I can't believe I made it. My car was banged up bad, but I'll obviously take it. Big thanks to Brent for sticking with me there. And man, he got a 3rd place finish. Congratulations to Tyler Fody. How awesome is that?
Well, we saw you go lap down, and we saw how hard it was with all the damage on your vehicle when it was on a long green flag run, even just keeping up with the draft and everything. But when it came down to it with the beating and banging, it kind of almost evened up the playing field because everyone's car started looking the same after a while there. I was going to mention this to your teammate, but you also have a ton of incident points against you. Your teammate beat you in the incident point there. I'll make a note and tell everyone when we get him on of how many incident points he actually did have for the race. But overall, a 2nd place finish here definitely helps you go forward with only 11 races for the regular season. Is this just a perfect way to essentially get started to try to knock down some consistent finishes?
I hope so, and I'm glad Daytona's behind us. It's been a long week. It's been a fun week, but very long, frustrating. This 2nd place finish is awesome, but yeah, it's a great way to start the season. Looking forward to it. These next few tracks coming up will be some really good tracks for our team.
You got anything for him, David?
Yeah, you kind of answered what I was going to ask, was how this sets you up for the rest of the season. But talk a little bit about your team, about Do Good Motorsports, and what you guys are planning for the year.
We're planning to win some races, obviously. We're building some fast engines back at the shop. We've been doing some work, and I'm excited about this season. Pretty stacked group of guys, and yeah, we're gonna go out there and give it our all every week. Just really excited.
All right, well, Dustin Dewar, congratulations on the 2nd place finish there. Heck of a speed weeks you've had, and congratulations again here. Like you said, moving on from Daytona, but a very positive season ahead for you, I'm sure. So best of luck there, and congratulations again on tonight.
Yeah, thank you, and a big shout out to Memory Lanes. They've been on board with me since I started iRacing. Love Randy. Randy Big Balls Walters back.
I was gonna say, you got to say his full name.
And Miss Goodies, Homeplace Beer. It's been awesome. This team is awesome, and I love these guys, and just excited for this year.
All right, Dustin Dewar, 2nd place finisher here at the Homeplace Beer Company, Daytona 500. And now we'll bring in 3rd place finisher tonight there. Came back after some of the chaos there on that final restart when it looked like he might have been taken out earlier than that. Brent Jones, man, P3 at the end of it. Incredible result to pull that through, working there with Dustin Dewar as well, pushing him to the line. But talk us through tonight. I mentioned it to Dusty and Fody as well, but race of attrition really. But to kind of come through, pull out that result, it's got to be a huge positive, and just great momentum moving forward into the rest of the season.
And I thought starting a new job in the last week was stressful enough. Anyway, we got Arca braked in too early in the race. We got nearly cleaned down pit lane. I think we had a 12X on the last lap and a half of the thing.
12X?
That is undetermined. I would have to go back on that. I have to look on the race report on iRacing's like post race thing. But man, we really fought back, man. We had one of the, I think we went through the field like 3 times of a car that couldn't suck up after like that lap 30 incident. We made a few mistakes once we were able to stay up there. We got tight off the corner at one point and get in the wall. I don't know, man. It's just funny how this all works out when everything just gets thrown at you.
Yeah, you were talking about your incident. I had saw this earlier. You beat your teammate in the most incidents of the race. You beat any other driver. It almost looks like a Martinsville kind of vibe with all the incident report you had. You had 29 incidents in the entire race, which is unheard of for a third place driver.
And literally unheard of for me, because I'm usually a clean driver, man, but we just got thrown all over that dang place today.
Yeah, 29 incident points overall, but it didn't matter. You still had a car enough. You even got contact, hit hard into the wall, able to keep it straight, and ultimately allowed you to be able to get to third place there at the finish there. if it wasn't for the shove into the wall, were you going to be stuck behind for Durr to push him to the victory if it came down to it?
I think it would have not mattered. I think we were already at the point where we're kind of boxed in. I want to give a sorry to Martinez there. I feel like if that was on me, that was on me. But we had a massive run there, and I tried to check out the best I could there. That was just, it is what it is.
Well, you made up 21 positions on the night, which is not bad for I love your name, the Crummy Electronic Race Team. So you've had a pretty good finish for a team with a name like that.
Yeah,
but realistically, what was your goal coming into tonight when you start that far back? I mean, you have to kind of break it down, but where did you kind of feel you were going to end up?
And it ain't the P41 start we had in the trucks race tonight, but the goal with these races always first is just finishing. Like tonight, the first goal is always finishing. Everything after that is extracurricular. And, to get something, the goal is always a top 15 in these races, but the finish where we're at, is a strong start to our season. I want to give a quick shout out if you allow me to, real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to shout 231 Simware, CA Graphics, goodies. Everyone who's helped me get to this point in the last few years, Weeks, Brian Hanansky, Luis Gonzalez-Moray, Frederick Cairo, Cam the Jackrabbit. I think I can go on with the names, but we would be here all night.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on a fantastic run tonight, and obviously a roller coaster run tonight. But it results in a P3 finish and your first podium of the season. Hoping to speak to you many more times this season as we go through, and hopefully again the sign of things to come here for you moving forward in the Cup Series. But congratulations again, man. P3 at Daytona.
I hope so too. Cheers to all y'all.
All right, Brent Jones then, our third place finisher, and there's your top three. And with that, we wrap up the seventh running of the Homeplace Beer Company Daytona 500. Seventh running, and we crown our seventh different champion of the event. Gerald and Dave, I mean, just a crazy race tonight. We talked about it in the driver interviews. We talked it after the race. Just a pure race of attrition there with just 12 of those guys finishing on the lead lap. And, of course, Frankenfield was a guy who finished without any fuel in that 15 car. So, I mean, just talk about... expectations for this year. It's difficult to take too much away from Daytona as it's such a different track to everywhere else we go. But what are you most looking forward to as we head now into the rest of 2022B?
A clean race.
Fair.
We left here without a single car having a 0X. So maybe just seeing how these drivers, now that they got the anticipation of the start of the season out, anticipation of the Daytona race, which is the most important race, out of the way. Seeing some consistency from the drivers, maybe some maturity from them, maybe some drivers improving. That's always some of the most fun to watch from these drivers, is to see some drivers that you can see visible improvement just from time on the simware. A lot of times it means that they're ahead of me now, but it's fun to see it. You might see me a couple times. I'm on the part-time schedule, so I know a few races that I see in the schedule that I'm absolutely going to be joining on. North Wilkesboro, one of those that I absolutely love. So I can't wait to see just kind of how this all plays out. And I believe actually I'm going to be doing a couple of the broadcasts by myself whenever you take a leave of absence a couple times.
Was he talking to, me or you?
David, you're not allowed to leave. You have to stay here. You're chained to the Discord.
I was gonna say I'm sending a text to Chad scheduling on my vacations for Wednesdays now. So perfect.
Hey, you should just be happy, Rish. You don't have homework tonight, so not too bad.
Yeah, that's
almost
that's
midnight, and you don't have anything due in a couple hours. So, well,
Dave,
for me,
how about you? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's interesting when you start off with NASCAR. You always start off with the biggest race of the year, and then where do you go from there? So it gets the blood pumping. I'm ready for next Wednesday already, but we'll have like Gerald said, we'll have a growing period where people will have to feel each other out. We'll have some more anger involved. and then we'll settle in and start to think about the chase. But for right now, it's just coming off this race seems like it was had so many parts and so many ebbs and flows to it. You just kind of come off of it with a big high and ready to go.
Well, yeah, next week we're heading to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, more of a traditional style racetrack, 1.5 mile track. So hopefully something guys are more familiar with, though. In 2 weeks' time, get ready for the Italian Stock Car Challenge at Monza Grand Prix circuit, and that turn 1 chicane is certainly going to be something interesting to watch. So maybe not clean racing after that, but we'll see that as it comes along. But it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you folks all the action here from the Daytona International Speedway here on the Elite Racing Network. As always, we want to thank our fantastic premier sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, as well as Breezy Cam. We also want to thank Homeplace Beer Company, as well as APS, joinaps.com. But that's kind of it from tonight here. It's been a long broadcast. It's been a long night. It was a race of attrition. We'll be back next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But I've been Rish of Kosla, joined in the booth tonight by Gerald Campbell and Dave Huckleberry. Dave bringing you the cameras as always. But with that being said, have a great night, everybody.